Magical. Well, here on the Sunday Game Live this afternoon, it is magic time. Well, forget the qualifiers and the backdoor system and all that. Everyone wants to win the Munster hurling title. Well, this year only two can do that, Cork or Waterford. Well, for Cork and their manager Donald O'Grady, this would be a big win after some turbulent times in recent years. But Waterford are the champions, and who can forget those scenes of pure joy and emotion 12 months ago when the barren years were ended.
Stephen Brenner from the De La Salle club. That is a huge free. All the way down towards Sheriff Prendergast, and here's a chance, and it's a goal by Tony Brown. This has to be their day. The famine is now over. Waterford are the Munster hurling champions. First time since 1963.
Andy Maloney leaves it run on to Paul Flynn, gets inside TJ Ryan, goes for the goal, and scores.
All eyes on the referee. Can Tip get the ball back? Can they score again? Can they turn it into a draw? Cork want to score of their own to put daylight between them, and McGrath strikes it. That's a bit more like the dream he'd have had as a youngster. And Cork are the Guinness Munster hurling champions for the second year in succession. It's O'Connor coming through. Ben O'Connor, the pacey man, deep. The referee's whistle goes, and Clare have been beaten overwhelmingly by Cork. Are they now the emerging side to challenge for ultimate honours in September?
Yes, Waterford, as I said, the champions, they won't give up that title easily this afternoon, you can bet. Well, we should have an epic battle on our hands and here in studio, and I'm sure looking forward to the big game. Or Ger Loughnane and Pete Finnerty. Gentlemen, you're both very welcome. Ger, you've experienced, obviously, the Munster final. It's something very special. I mean, last year was special. When Clare won it was so special. Well,
I've experienced it both as a player and as a manager, but I prefer to remember the ones that I was there as a manager rather than as a player. But, you know, when you arrive in Thurles and that, it's something you cannot describe, really, or you cannot write about it. You got to feel it. It's a feeling, you know. The Munster final is a feeling. The feeling you get from when you arrive in Thurles at Páirc Uí Chaoimh, travelling through the crowd, the good humour of the crowd, the way they mix together in the bars, in the pubs and all that beforehand. And then you get out onto the field before the game, and there are no neutrals there. Everyone is partisan. It's an absolutely magic feeling to step out in Thurles or Cork in a Munster final. I suppose really what it is you know that you're following a marvellous tradition. A tradition set down by Ring and Mackey, by great games of epic battles. And I suppose Tip and Cork were the ones who lay down that tradition. And as well as that, it's local. You know, the people you're playing against are usually not far away. There are grudges to be settled, and whoever wins today, they are kings of Munster for the next year. That feeling will last for a year. But to walk out of Thurles this evening as Munster champions, you know you have done your county a great service. It's about that feeling coming out of Thurles, having won. There is nothing like it.
There's none of these guys have come from Real Madrid or Barcelona or any place like that.
No impulse.
Pete Finnerty, one of the peculiar things about today's match is Waterford go in both as the champions and I think as slight favourites.
I don't know about slight favourites. I think.
Well, according to the media and the press and the papers, and that's
yeah. Well, they deserve it. They've played 6 games under the new manager. They've only lost 1. Cork have been in turmoil last year. Okay, they had a brilliant game against Clare, but that's all they've done to date. They've a new young team that hasn't been tested. It was allowed to play in a comfort zone where Cork will always destroy you. If you give Cork 4 or 5 points of a lead, they will hurl with majestic skill that nobody else will be able to compete with. But if they're put under pressure by Waterford, and Waterford are champions, they go into this game, there's a high level of confidence in Waterford. There is in Cork as well. It's the making of a cracker. I hope that Cork don't run a lead on Waterford early. That's the thing I would only worry about. If Waterford start hurling from the word go and concentrate for 70 minutes, there'll be some battle in Thurles today.
Well, that's what we were expecting. Well, they were certainly actually just looking at the moment, gentlemen. Here come the Cork team out onto the field. Now, they're out very early. This is the time they were due out in actual fact, Gerlach Nan. It's 25 minutes before the throw-in.
Yeah, and I suppose that's not of their making. It's usually rules that are laid down before the game, like the All-Ireland, because there are so many preliminaries that's supposed to be got through. But it is a very important time and a very distracting time, the 25 minutes. And the team needs really to keep their focus. It can be out there and it can let the team go flat. Yeah. And that's the big danger. But I'm sure that they know they have been come out 25 minutes before. They'll have prepared for this.
Me before the game against Clare the last day, they also asked to come out early that day.
Yeah, and you'll see when they come out, they'll go down in front of their own supporters. Yeah, I suppose it'll rouse up their own supporters as well. They'll actually warm up in front of their own supporters. So I suppose to get all those preliminaries over, they feel that suits them. You know, that's their way of doing things. They want to be out, they want to get the crowd riled up, they want to get the crowd on their side. They'll do warm up in front of them, and they feel then they'll be ready.
Okay. Ger, thanks for that. Well, there were certainly contrasting fortunes for both Cork and Waterford in last year's championship. The Waterford fans celebrating that first Munster title since the early 60s. Well, Cork hurling, as we were saying here, on the other hand, was slipping deeper and deeper into internal crisis. And that was the daunting situation which Donald O'Grady stepped into when he became the new senior team manager.
After 2 weeks on strike last night, Cork's hurlers and footballers had to play the waiting game for over 5 hours for the deal which has ended this dispute. But it was worth waiting for and delivers substantially on the players' demands.
I think that watershed kind of had to happen. I think the players were a little bit behind in their treatment by the authorities, and you know, the fact now that there's a physio training every night, there are 2 masseurs training every night, that they have access to a doctor at all times, means that at least, you know, from that point of view, they're being treated fairly and as they should be. So there's a whole new professionalism there which had to happen because there was too much pressure on managers and selectors to run a show which was as important as the inter-county senior team.
From the start we just asked the players for commitment, and to be quite honest, we got that from everybody. All the players have made a huge effort, and they've done everything that was asked of them, and they can't be faulted. Like if we don't win on Sunday, they won't be faulted for their efforts.
Cork are all over this Clare team in the early stages.
It's electric stuff down there, Joe. Cork are really fired up.
Whenever you have a good performance in the championship, it's very hard to come back up to that level again. And we saw that with Clare against Tipperary, and I think they were flat against us. And you saw the great match between Waterford and Limerick, and then the next match was a very, very tight, dour affair. I'm of the belief that Sunday's game will be tough, it will be dour. And there won't be any great stylish hurling in it, and to go right down to the wire with the team. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, or if some team just pulls away to score by a point or two and to win by a point or two in the end.
What a day to be a fan of the Daysha. Waterford are the champions.
Winning the Munster Championship gave us, you know, a different emphasis really, and you know, the confidence grew a little bit more. Maturity comes into play. Having succeeded in getting over that famous obstacle of winning Munster. It grows in players over the winter into spring of the year. And I would say right now that we are more mature and we are better balanced, and I think in a better mind frame.
Flynn hits this magnificently. He can do no wrong.
We've put an awful lot of time into the hurling side of it in trying to get that game up to a high speed. We have to be able to match Cork in certain departments where they're very strong. We have to be able to stay in the game and not get out of the game. Because Cork are the type of team, and I know it as much as anybody else, given that half chance, they'll take off and put points on the board, and then next thing there's a big gap in between the sides. So we have to make sure that we're trying to stay with and force the pace as well as possible, and realise that the game is over 70 minutes.
I've been living in Cork now for the last, I suppose, almost 8 years at this stage. Cork is a super place to live. It's great, loads of things to do and see, and I suppose there's great crack here, you know. I suppose particularly in the last couple of weeks when you're Waterford hurler playing against Cork and living in Cork, you know, it's quite exciting at the moment. There is a lot of slagging, you know, I get my fair share to say the least. Our biggest test for us was not actually, I suppose, the Munster final last year, but the fact that could we actually progress on top of that. And when we were going in to play Limerick on the first occasion, we were fit, we were eager, we were anxious to win, and we played very well that day. And the second day against Limerick, the fact that we won the match, I think that was a major plus for Waterford. I know it wasn't a great match, but look, I'd rather win a bad one than lose a good one. Anything can happen on Munster final day, and it's overcoming those things on the given day that'll bring victory. Other than that, then Cork will win the match.
Well, that's the view then from Tom Feeney, Waterford's full-back. Marty Morrissey reporting there from the rival camps. The Waterford team also taken to the pitch in Semple Stadium in Thurles. And they will come out to the greetings from their fans, as we said a moment ago, as the reigning Munster champions. What a nice feeling that is going out in the field. That's surely a lift in itself for the Waterford players. Again, Pete Finnerty, moments like this, tense moments as you come out of the dressing room as a player.
Yeah, they look very calm, look very composed. There's nobody jumping up and down. They started only jogging when they got to the pitch. It's a very important time for a player because you're psyched, you're together inside the dressing room. But between now and the next 20 minutes, this is where you could lose a player. A player can be lost because he can get lost in the crowd, he can get lost in the atmosphere, and he can lose his concentration and his goal. But nowadays, teams are very focused and they have strict regimes to stick to. Whether the warm-up, I saw Cork warming up before the last game, and they were going to a plan. It was timed for maybe 12 minutes, and then they were for a photo call, and then they were for the parade, and away they go. So everything is down to split-minute timing now at the moment. But it is a very, very important time of the game.
I remember a couple of years ago seeing a Wexford player, many years ago in fact, going out to a Leinster final, and he stuck his hurley off the wall of the dressing room going out. It broke and he was shoved out the door. And arrived out onto the pitch in Croke Park with the butt of a hurley in his hand for the battle.
Have you ever seen Davy Fitz coming out onto the field?
We've seen Davy Fitz on the field. That in itself is enough.
That's enough.
OK, right now we're going to take a commercial break. Join us after that for the clash of Cork and Waterford in the Munster hurling final. Now, Jim Carney is pitchside and talking to one or two people who know what Munster hurling final day is all about.
Thank you. We're joined by two outstanding hurlers of their time, Gerard Cunningham of Cork, Stephen Frank.
Expectations to be for a great Munster final. Obviously, from our point of view, we're hoping that to be successful from Cork, but it's just great to be here, great to be back here again. We haven't been here for 3 years, and we're really looking forward to the occasion, looking forward to a great game.
Stephen, what are your expectations from the day?
It's a wonderful achievement for the team to be here again after last year, and it's just great to be here, and hopefully we can win it.
Gerard, in many ways, the two teams are looking to put big performances back to back. Cork simply performances, Waterford to win 2 Munsters. From your own point of view, what's the atmosphere like in your county now compared to the last couple of years?
Well, things have improved definitely, Jim. There was an awful lot of expectation before the Clare match. You know, we had our own troubles last year, which thankfully have been resolved. And there was a lot of pressure on the lads going into the game, the last day to perform, and you know. But I think it was the manner in which they played impressed everybody and took the whole thing by surprise. The test for them today is if they can take it on from here. They need to put 2 games back to back, like Waterford trying to put 2 Munsters back to back. It's a big test for them. That's the challenge for them, and hopefully they'll be up for it.
There's a fantastic atmosphere here, Gerard, and everybody is shocked, I think, by the size of the Cork crowd here today. It's just thousands and thousands.
Yeah, there's been a great expectation of Cork during the week, Jim. The level of expectation and anticipation has been huge, really. You know, we haven't been here for a couple of years, as I said. We're looking forward to it. The buzz from the first game gave us a big lift, and we're looking forward to hopefully a great win today.
Yeah, Stephen, Paul Flynn, Ken McGrath, Tony Brown, outstanding hurlers. It's wonderful to see them back again, and they haven't won in All-Ireland. Can they do it?
Oh, certainly they can, but we look at a Munster final today and hopefully they can do that. You know, there's a lot of pressure on them. It's a huge amount of expectation in Waterford, and it's not we normally are not outnumbered by the opposition, but the support here, as I said, for Cork today is huge, but I'm sure our lads will make a lot of noise as well.
Okay, gentlemen, great to see you both. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the view then from Semple Stadium in Thurles, minutes before the start of this year's Munster hurling final. Just looking at the set-up in Thurles there and talking about the crowd, which was mentioned by the two lads there, that's something I noticed, Ger, watching at the start of the minor match even. There was a huge Cork support here. Now, I know that Cork were in the minor final against Tipperary, so their supporters were in early. Tip winning that, by the way.
Well, you see, Thurles has been redeveloped. It can take about 55,000 people now. I know by last Wednesday there were 52,000 tickets sold, so that'll tell you the interest that is in this final. Now Cork have been out of the limelight since '99, and they feel that, you know, that after the display against Clare, that maybe this year might be their year, and there's no better crowd to come out in numbers and line up behind that town goal and are very vociferous and give a great atmosphere to the whole occasion.
And it's amazing how being out of the limelight for a year or two can help as well, isn't it?
It can indeed. It can indeed. But Waterford have massive support as well.
Yes, they do.
For the games against Limerick, the first game against Limerick, when we arrived in Thurles that day, I couldn't believe all the amount of white shirts, white and blue shirts, Waterford people that were there that evening. So they have great faith in this team. They are the Munster champions, and there's a great feeling in Waterford that they're coming in as underdogs. You know, they're coming in with no big hype about them. And best of all, they're coming in after a bad display in a semi-final. As we all know that took part in games, the best thing you can have is just scrape through a semi-final. It sets you up for the final. I'll tell you, today's game is not over by any means, and it's not a foregone conclusion. It's wide open.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I think I agree with you there, Ger. In the meantime, it's the Cork team that are lining up. Pete for their team photograph. A lot of pressure, of course, on a lot of these Cork players. And Satanto helping, perhaps being one of those, because he had a great game the last day out. Can he do it again? He's been all over the media during the week.
I feel sorry for him for such a young player, like, and even his name lends to the pressure that he's under. Now he is a fabulous hurler, and we saw that the last day against Frank Lohan. I saw him as a minor, and he was a big, tall, gangly young lad, but he's full out well. He's able to strike left and right, and he's physically able to impose himself on his marker as well. So there's an awful lot of pressure on him, but he has Joe Dean beside him. He has who's centre forward. Niall McCarthy is another new guy who a lot of pressure is on. Timmy has been there before. Ben O'Connor has done it before, and Alan Brown has been there before. So out of the forward line, you only have two players that are really playing in their first Munster final. But Cork are really under a lot of pressure today. There is huge support. They won 2 under-21 titles, and then they lost their way with arguments off the field. Sure. They're back online again. Donald Grady has done a fantastic job with them. He's a very astute manager. He analyses every player, their strengths and their weaknesses. He put in a new entire backbone in the team. Pat Mulcahy and Ronan Curran were absolutely brilliant against Clare. But as I said, they played in a zone where Clare never put them under pressure. Clare played hurling for 15 minutes at the beginning of the second half. And in that 15 minutes, they brought down 6 points to 3, but they weren't able to sustain it. And the reason they weren't, because the Clare forwards never competed with the Cork defence. And if Waterford do the same thing today, and if the Clare half-back line are able to get the quality of ball into the inside players, well, Dean and O'Halpin, they'll skin Waterford. So the pressure that Waterford forwards put on the Cork defence is going to determine how the game is going to go.
Ger, they shake hands from the team captains, of course, and the toss of the coin in the middle of the field. The Waterford captain, Tony Brown. Big question mark about Tony today. He has an ankle injury, and that could be a problem.
I had ankle ligament problem myself one year, and it's the hardest of all injury to overcome. A break is even better than a ligament injury. Yep. You feel you're okay, you can run in a straight line, but the minute you go into a divot in the ground, you have to turn quickly, it's gone again. So it'll be very interesting to see how long he lasts. But they're doing the correct thing. They're putting him on at the start, letting him go as hard as he can for as long as he can. If he has to come off, well and good. Because if you leave him and bring him on, take him off again, it has a devastating effect on the team, as well as using an extra sub. So they are doing the correct thing, and hopefully Tony will last, because he is so vital to Waterford, hurling wise and morale wise, and leadership wise, where they need leaders. He's one of the 3 or 4 leaders they have on the team, so he's absolutely vital to them. Obviously his ankle is strapped underneath those socks there, so we're all hoping that he will last the full game. But as Pete was saying there, there's huge pressure on Cork today. Any team can produce one massive performance and beat anybody on a given day. Sure. It's the second day that tells you how good a team are and how good the players are. So Ronan Curran, Tom Kenny, who made their debut the last day and they were fantastic. Today is the day they'll tell us how good they are and how good this Cork team is.
We've actually seen a lot of that. It seems to be more so this summer, Pete, than other summers. These up and down performances by team. Brilliant one day, flat the next day.
Yeah, Tip were absolutely brilliant in the league final, but one lucky to lose it, you say. And then they came out against Clare, and Clare destroyed them. Then Clare went and they played Cork, and Cork destroyed them. It's difficult to repeat it. You can psych yourself and you can get focused and you get in on the game and you can be hyped up and everything goes right on the day. Now you go back, Cork were lying in the long grass all year, and they're back now. We know what they're like, to produce it again. Pressure.
Final word quickly about one player, Ger, before we hand over to our commentary. Ken McGrath, Waterford.
All the talk is about Paul Flynn. Paul Flynn has produced 2 massive displays in a row. Can he produce the third? Maybe he can. But A man who hasn't hurled for Waterford yet this year and is a brilliant player is Ken McGrath. He's the man really who won the Munster final for them last year. Remember, Paul Flynn was taken off in that game. Now, he had a bad game in the All-Ireland semi-final and he doesn't seem yet to have recovered from it. His striking, his touch have deserted him completely against Limerick. I've never seen him. He's not like the Ken McGrath of old at all. But he's only on Ronan Curran today, a new player. This is his chance. Maybe today he'll rediscover the Ken McGrath the last 2 or 3 years, and if he does, Waterford will be on their way.
Well, we're going to find out, gentlemen, the next 70 minutes or a little bit more. OK, that's the scene then at Semple Stadium in Thurles for this year's Munster hurling final. Let's join our commentary team for this afternoon, and we'll say good afternoon to Cyril Farrell and first to Ger Canning.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon. The field from the town end down towards the Kalainen end to our left. A great sense of hype and expectation. Waterford in white, the Munster champions, the reigning champions, bidding to do what no Waterford side has ever done before, and that is put titles back to back. There's an indication of the strong breeze. Waterford, I can tell you, have won the toss, and they'll play with the wind at their backs, playing from right to left in the first half. It's high summer here in Thurles. The town has been abuzz since about 11 o'clock this morning. The shops and the cafes, those selling burgers and chips doing a roaring trade. People have been coming here very, very early indeed to get the decent parking that's available, some having to travel some distance, and there'll be great fun going back to Waterford and to Cork after today's Munster final. So let's take a check on the teams then. And Cork, the very strong favourites, yet placed in the role of challengers, are able to name an unchanged team for the starts of today's Munster final. The only sub used against Clare was Derek Barrett, and then only as a blood substitution. The backs drew all-round applause for the manner in which they went about their business 3 weeks ago when Wayne Sherlock shaded the accolade man of the match from newcomers Tom Kenny and Ronan Curran. Certain to be watched with care today are leading scorers Joe Dean and Satanta O'Halpine. Between them they hit 1-5 from play in the semi-final, while improved performances, I think, are sought from Ben O'Connor and Tim McCarthy, both on that half-forward line. So that's Cork. The Munster champions have nominated these 15 players to defend their provincial crown. One change from the team that finally saw off the challenge of Limerick as Owen McGrath replaces Peter Queally. Well, the numbers will be right, but where will James Murray and Declan Prendergast play? To mention just two, well, that's a cause of some speculation. Likewise, the partnership in midfield could see a twist or two, but Tony Brown does play. Whatever about the shape of the Waterford forward line, there's no denying the qualities of Paul Flynn, top scorer most years, and of course Ken McGrath, a little quiet this year, while the exact composition of the inside forward line is a secret soon to be shared with all by the match strategists, led of course by Justin McCarthy. Well, it's nothing new for Justin, of course, to be facing his native county. It happened also when he was with Clare. Before the action, Auron Navier. In excess of 50,000 people are gathered in Tom Semple's famous hurling field here in the centre of Thurles in County Tipperary. All is in readiness, and Pat O'Connor takes charge of his second Munster hurling final. The last was 1997, and then it was Clare against Tipperary. Mention of Tipperary, they've won the Munster minor final for the third year in a row, a 2-point win against Cork. Waterford from right to left, Munster champions up against the challengers and favourites in the minds of many, and I see it straight away a bit of action taking place at the other end of the field, but play does continue in this, the start of the 114th Munster hurling final There we saw a little bit of action between Pat Mulcahy and Paul Flynn, who switched into full forward straight away. No great surprise there. Dave Bennett has gone into midfield. There'll be switches aplenty once the match settles down. Turning around here, Fergal Hartley, the man who brought that Munster Cup back to Waterford, carried it too far, and it's a free in. Cyril Farrell.
Yeah, Joe already will started. Tom Feeney's gone corner back. Brian Green is picking up Joe Jean. James Murray has gone wing back, and Declan Prendergast has gone back corner back, all over the place. Declan Vinners is midfield, and Paul Flynn is full forward. We predicted that this would happen, and I suppose Cork would be kind of waiting for these things to happen. Waterford won the toss, Jared. Even if Cork won the toss, I would think to play against it. Traditionally, they always go against the breeze, and there's a fair breeze going into the Killeen end.
The law has been laid down to Fergal Hartley and Niall McCarthy. The man is marking, the centre-half forward from Carricktool. John Gardner, the free taker, bidding to give Cork the lead. That is tailing, and it's gone wide. First one of the match coming just after a minute. Both sides fired up for the match. Passionate followers have come here as well. They estimate that about 25,000 Corkonians are present here, and roughly the same number have come from Waterford. Huge puck out by Stephen Frampton, batted away by Ronan Curran. Back in again it comes from Owen Kelly, and he sweeps it over the bar. Good start. So Owen Kelly gives Waterford the lead, playing in what is his 7th championship match. Lovely strike. Great action. It's his 14th ever point in championship hurling. Well, it's exactly the start that Waterford has required. Now they'll want to tag on a few more and unsettle Cork. Incidentally, Owen Kelly is playing in the half-forward line. That's not unexpected. He's being marked by Sean O'Halpine. Dave Bennett, the free taker, dropping it in towards Paul Flynn. Attempting to get the stick to it there was Owen McGrath. Cork standing firm. They get it away out as far as Tom Kenny, the wing-back from Granada. Line ball. The breeze is swirling. Very difficult to predict. Donald O'Grady here, in charge of Cork in the second Munster Championship match of the year, and his first Munster final in charge. He's looking on now. I think it is Paul Flynn who is down nursing an injury. He was involved before the ball was even thrown in with Pat Mulcahy from Newton Chandrum. The referee has gone back to check with his umpires. And the Waterford team doctor, Tom Higgins, going in to do his job there. And it could be a substitute is required immediately, because the referee is making the indication that it's going to be a temporary substitution.
Yeah, there was an eyeball going in that time. It's a blood substitution as such. He'll be all right. It's just a blood.
Great atmosphere. Wonderful colour. Sun just going in a little bit, and Paul Flynn's going to need attention. And the man coming in wearing the yellow armband is his immediate substitute, and that is Peter Queally. Queally's come into the half-forward line. Andy Maloney's drifted inside on Mulcahy. Line ball to be taken by Owen Murphy, UCC student. This is Mickey O'Connell from Middleton, outside here towards John Gardner, and Ronan Curran lobbing it down. Hartley meeting it. Into space, John Mullane has discarded the black helmet inside seconds of the start of the game. Dermot O'Sullivan's against him. Down he goes. It's a free into Waterford, and a chance of another score. Mullane is fired up, just like Satanto Halpine was fired up in the early minutes against Clare. But that was in the semi-final. This is where there's silverware on offer.
Yeah, Jerry, he would have the pace on Jim O'Sullivan, very, very fast, and trying to make use of it. It was rumoured all week that O'Sullivan hadn't been training, had a virus, so, you know, Mullane should use the legs on him if he can.
Well, O'Sullivan hasn't trained for the best part of 3 weeks since the Clare match. And that is over the bar. Another fine strike. This time it's by the man playing in the midfield, wearing number 15, Dave Bennett, taking over the free taking momentarily, at least, from Paul Flynn. 2-0. So Cork, if Waterford are going to run at them and concede frees, well, that would be the height of folly. Timmy McCarthy, Cork yet to settle. Waterford not allowing them that. it's a great position from a Waterford point of view. They've gone into the match outsiders. They are champions. They've been written off by so many people. Is there another huge game and a much longer season in this team? They'd like to think so. O'Halpine cutting it up towards Niall McCarthy. One back, however, by Dave Bennett. He's playing very deep. Good play by Ronan Kern, the Bars man. Towards McCarthy. Niall McCarthy gathering in well on the left hand, taking on his man, Fergal Hartley. Dropping it inside. Difficult one. Satanto O'Halpine has it. Awkward angle. It's a goal!
Santos. He has structure. Sandy Gaza struck a fantastic goal. It came in short. He made it across. Goalie out of position. Left-handed struck him in the back of the net.
Not even 6 minutes are gone. And the big man from the Pearshake scores his first goal in championship hurling at senior level. McCarthy fed it in. He won his battle against the goalkeeper and against Declan Prendergast and knocked it into the back of the net. The man who was born in Australia and polished off in Fairhill in Cork, but the Pearshake scores. Ben O'Connor here. McCarthy coming in to try and help him. They try to dig it out of midfield. Bennett gets a stick to it. Gardner. Well, he was assured, but he couldn't place it with his usual accuracy. Wow, what a pick-up that was, and what a goal.
Yeah, Joe, that'll rock Waterford back because we're in a nice position. They got the first two scores and happy enough. There is a strong breeze blowing.
And if there was a fault to be found with Cork last time out, as we watched Justin McCarthy reintroduce his star Paul Flynn, it might be that they haven't been getting a lot of goals. Not a bad start here. Peter Quilly's come back off. Didn't hit the ball, I think. And Paul Flynn goes back in. Andy Maloney indicating that he's going to switch with him. And Flynn has gone into top of the left. Murphy hitting it in towards Milan. Nice balance and control. Getting it away from O'Sullivan. He's causing problems for Diarmuid O'Sullivan. And this is in the early stages. Getting it on his left-hand side. He strikes well. And he's put it over. John Milan from the De La Salle Club. Well, he's won a free. Now he's won a point off Diarmuid O'Sullivan.
Yeah, he has the legs and the pin. A lovely line ball across the north to left. But like, it's early days yet. O'Sullivan probably thinks again. But Milan has legs and Cork to be shouting his turned over carry. But he's using the pace and a fantastic score.
So the teams are level. Donald O'Cusack about to pump this one out, playing in his 5th championship season. In those 5 seasons, he's played for 4 different coaches. Alan Brown was trying to dig it out, but it's Andy Maloney. Forward here towards Ken McGrath, high up into the air, hoping the wind will carry it on for him. That was Mulcahy touching it down, coming in here and striking it brilliantly into the back of the net.
It's John Milan again.
Once again, he's done it.
Long high ball coming in. Cork defence are caught it underneath it. Pat Mulcahy couldn't get to it. Brought back to Milan and a fantastic score. He's on fire at the moment. Cork will be thinking of taking on Diarmuid O'Sullivan.
Well, they'll surely make some rearrangement here of their forces. Mulcahy just batted it down. In came the Predator, John Milan. And a goal and a point now after 8 minutes of play. And once again, the referee halting the play and going in to watch what happens here in reprise. Once again, you can see Milan belted it past Donald O'Cusack. Good strike.
Yeah, Joe, Pat Mulcahy be upset because he was facing the ball when he was kind of pushed off it, but that's championship hurling as such. It was a great goal.
Mulcahy then being restrained there by Wayne Sherlock, I think it is, saying to him, calm down, plenty of time left in this match. But it's 1-3 to a goal. Waterford lead. They've got the wind. They are the champions. Andy Maloney has gone to left half forward and he's on Tom Kenny. And that's where Alan Brown couldn't contain it. Cork not really settled at all yet in spite of that breakaway goal against the run of play by Satanto O'Halpine. This is the pick-up here by John Milan. He cracks it home. Showed great confidence.
Yeah, so far, Joe, like Waterford are completely on top around the pitch because Cork are getting no ball up. Lucky to get that goal, really.
Dave Bennett hitting it in here, missed. Back once again. Fergal Hartley to nurse it away. Niall McCarthy in to try and challenge there. Declan Prendergast at left half back. Coming once again here against Satanto Halpine. Timmy McCarthy is there as well. This is Ben O'Connor with the pick-up, crossing the 45-metre line and over the sideline, line ball. Prendergast was sticking very, very tightly to his man. So Owen Murphy from the Shamrocks Club is coming over to hit this sideline ball, but that's an interesting duel in there between Paul Flynn and Pat Mulcahy. Mulcahy now about 26 years of age, had some championship action, but this is his most successful spell. Fired away by Owen Murphy. Again, they try to seek out Milan, sails his own over his head this time. Owen Kelly is in there challenging. Sean O'Halpine locating Wayne Sherlock. First time not successful, second time picks up again on his left-hand side, striking it way down. Tony Brown putting up the hand. It's taken there instead by John Gardner, and it's going to be a free to Cork inside their own 65-metre line. Well, it's fast and furious. That was Wayne Sherlock there. Nice little block down. And, every indication that Owen Kelly is going to cause problems on that side, just as John Molan has been doing. That's the right-hand side of the Waterford attack. Gardner striking it towards Joe Dean. Can he get decent ball up there against Brian Green? Green is on him this afternoon. That was expected. Nice little tap over, and it's over by Dino. Joe Dean's first chance to attack. That's 2 attacks by Cork now. It's produced a goal and a point.
Yeah, Gerard, there's lovely free. John Gard didn't go for a long one, just placed the ball up to Dean, knew he was on the run, and once he got the start to draw, just let the flick over.
Well, that was the switch they were talking about during the week in Waterford, that Brian Green, right height, right physique to take on Joe Dean. Watch for that one. Fergal Hartley going back from centre half, beating Ben O'Connor to it, towards Tony Brown, trying to gather ahead of Mickey O'Connell. Running loose to Dave Bennett, half blocked. And O'Connell was the last to touch it. It's going to be a line ball for Waterford. Indeed, it was Owen Murphy who got the last flick, or last flick before O'Connell. Mickey O'Connell made his debut in the championship in 1999. That was the day that Jimmy Barry Murphy put in 5 debutants to face up to Waterford. It worked. Murphy cross towards Kelly, runs on here towards Owen McGrath, going for the point himself. He's given it everything. Has he the accuracy? He has. Owen McGrath from Mount Sion, the man who's come into the team to play atop of the left in a much rearranged Waterford forward line, replacing Peter Queally. And 1-4 now, 2.
Yeah, at this stage, Joe, you have 2 cornerback and corner forward. Wayne Sherlock and Milan having, pushed it and shoving. Jimmy O'Sullivan switched across to right cornerback. So there's a bit of bargy going on down there.
So let's have a look at this here again, building up with Wayne Sherlock and John Bolan. Got out of hand and the others nipped in quickly, just to restore order. Referee in close attendance.
Both of them will be booked. Then they're in trouble because both get yellow cards and anything can happen after that.
Well, the score we have here in the stadium right now is 1-3 to 1-1. I'm just wondering, is it 1-4 to 1-1? But there's a difference between our score here on screen and the score within the ground.
Yeah, Jerry, I make it 1-4 to 1-1.
That's what I thought. But there was a problem in the minor match as well. The score was wrong at a certain stage there, a critical stage. And it looks like Diarmuid O'Sullivan is coming off. And coming in for Cork is going to be Mark Prendergast from the Piercing to make his championship debut. And he's a specialist cornerback. Well, it was a gamble they took with Diarmuid O'Sullivan. It wasn't widely known that he hadn't been able to train at all because of a virus. It hasn't worked out, and he's gone. And he's gone as early as the 15th minute.
Yeah, Mark Prendergast would be a regular cornerback, Journey. He'd be used to it in there.
So we've had those yellow cards issued to John Mullane and to Wayne Sherlock. Prendergast into the action, is playing on Owen McGrath. So it means he's got into right cornerback, and Wayne Sherlock has stayed across on the left-hand side on John Mullane. So tactics aplenty as James Murray steps up to hit this sideline ball for Waterford. The wind at his back. And still the score in the ground here reads 1-3 to 1-1. We think that's wrong. Ben O'Connor taking on Owen Murphy. Gardner standing his ground, the 20-year-old knocking it invitingly down towards Satanto Halpin, but goes over his head. Good anticipation by Tony Brown, back there to help out. Spills away from him, down towards Declan Prendergast. There's assistance from Tom Feeney. Tom, who was marking Alan Brown this afternoon. One back here by the Newmanian Mark Prendergast. Well gathered in by Owen Murphy, setting it away here towards Dave Bennett from the middle of the field. Bennett with accuracy, puts it over the bar. He's now got two. One from play, one from a free, and it's going nicely for Justin McCarthy's team. And the score here in the ground, the score on the screen is accurate. It's 1-5 now to 1-1, 4 between them. Good point, but the marking was very, very casual. Cork have not got going. Waterford haven't allowed them. Their game plan's working. They're looking really hungry. They're as if saying to everybody and anybody, you think you're experts? Well, look at us. We're the Munster champions, and we're not here to be beaten.
Yeah, during this ball in now here, Tolkien was after opening a very nice free off Pat Mulcahy, got out there first, bit of pushing and pulling, and Pat O'Connor is ready that just Mulcahy was fouling, and Flynn will score this. Waterford are happy, they're breaking ball, they're getting first with it. Nothing is happening really for Cork.
And it's going to be Paul Flynn to hit it, and this to stick 5 points between the teams. He'll be happy. Man from Passage, just outside Cork City, down Rochestown direction. This will be Flynn's first point. Once the referee has sorted out matters in the middle of the field, he's going to talk to Dave Bennett and to John Gardner. Hasn't been a particularly easy match in the early stages. A lot of niggle going on, nothing vicious or anything like that, but the referee's been called into action time and again, too often in fact. Waterford to stretch their lead through Paul Flynn, and he puts it over with the minimum of fuss. Waterford fans much the happier. Well, the next question, I suppose, we'll be posing before too long, just how influential is the breeze here in Thurles today? And how many points up at half-time do you need to be to feel confident?
But at the moment, you're Cork are not hurling away, regardless of the breeze. The breeze is going to win the match. You have to hurl.
Brown gathers that one well, and we're holding on to him, in particular Mickey O'Connell, for a Cork team forced into their first substitution after just 15 minutes of play. Waterford are the happier. They now have this free, which Dave Bennett is preparing to take as Pat Mulcahy goes back to do his duty marking Paul Flynn. Bennett striking well so far today, and that's another example. Comes off the stick of the goalkeeper. They all count, and it's over. Another white flag for Dave Bennett and for Waterford. Their strategy is working. They're eager, they're fit-looking, they're ready for the fray. And they're saying to all of those people who didn't rate them, forget it. We're not champions for nothing. And what can Donal O'Grady in his first Munster final as coach do to turn the tide? They've got to start winning midfield. They're being beaten badly there. Ronan Kern along the ball, coming straight back into the faces of the Cork backs. Satanto Halpin beaten. This time it comes back to Owen Murphy. A very determined looking Waterford side. Great catch by Tony Brown. He's been having physio for the past 3 weeks. Dave Bennett, his midfield ally. Inside towards Paul Flynn, bounces around in there. Flynn picks it up neatly, nice turn, and a great score by Paul Flynn. The best Sterling is being played by Waterford. Right now they're giving Cork a lesson.
That's right, Gerard. The only hurlers with time to walk, but every ball is breaking around it, and Flynn is on fire as well. But their half back line and centre field at the moment are completely on top. But you have to emphasise that there is a very, very strong breeze. Corkers are getting no ball into the full forward line. They're playing two insider on their own now, Joe Dean and Stanto helping.
An amazing Munster championship where Tip were hot favourites, blown out of it by Clare. Then in came Cork, blew Clare out of it. And now Cork, hot favourites, being blown out of it by Waterford. Long way to go. Satanto Halpine tripping there. And it's taken by Declan Prendergast, the man from Ardmore. Bounces away off Owen McGrath's chest. Line ball to Cork. Linesman on this side, Pat Duffy from Kilkenny. There's Owen McGrath. Hasn't been playing particularly well, but then again, Ken hasn't been playing well either.
Take a bit of data, Joe.
That's Owen McGrath's point in injury time last year. Finally made the score against Cork, 116 to 115. Looking for another great day here. Niall McCarthy outside to O'Halpine. This is Satanta, the big tall man, nearly 6'6". And that has drifted away to the right. Two shots at the target. One goal, one wide. Cork with only two scores. Waterford with 9, 7 between them. 21 and a half minutes gone in the first half. Stephen Brenner's puck out, low into the centre. Maloney was waiting. It comes instead to O'Connell, missed by Timmy McCarthy, seized on by James Murray, the UCC student. Up it goes into the corner towards Owen McGrath, switching across over there, and he beats them all. Line ball to Cork. Mark Prendergast anxious to take it. Good representation of the Piercing players from Fairhill and the Cork team right now. Prendergast, Gardner and the two O'Halpines. This is Tom Kenny. Tom Feeney used to be cornerback. He's playing cornerback today, but wearing number 3 towards Milan, being marked tightly there by Wayne Sherlock. He had a great explosive start, John Milan, could hardly keep it going for 70 minutes. Now man of the match last time out, Wayne Sherlock has been dovetailed just to keep him quiet. Tall order, he's a lively competitor. This is Owen Murphy here from the Shamrocks club, only his second season as a senior hurler. Playing in his second Munster final, not bad going if he can collect his second medal. As we said before the start of play, a Waterford team has never retained the Munster title. 2 in a row is what they're going for. And I think full recognition by everybody who loves this sport that they really are one of the teams to reckon in the hunt for the Liam McCarthy Cup, not just the Munster. Not a good one that time by Prendergast. Cork trying to retain possession. It's Gardner pulling. Andy Mullen trying to rail it up. It's interesting today, of course, that the ball they are using is different from usual, although I talked to some of the Cork officials and they weren't even aware of that. But it is a slightly spongier ball, but it's, I think, just as heavy as the normal slitter that they've been using up to now. I doubt it's a factor. Waterford is simply the better team so far, but that could change. Alan Brown, Ben O'Connor trying to race inside the cover. Coming out there was Brian Green. Waterford with bodies back. Green is one of them. Son of Jim, one of the great Waterford stars of yesteryear, and he's gone down injured 20 metres out from his own goal. Attention will be required. This is it again here. Ben O'Connor was coming across him and Joe Dean then. Down he went. So the physio and team doctor will come in to attend. Physio in this instance is Shane Fitzpatrick. He's very much attached to the Ballygunner club on the outskirts of Waterford City. And their team doctor, Tom Higgins, who comes from Dungarvan. Well, Jim Green, his dad, who was part of the team, was hammered by Cork in '82 and 20 years ago in '83 down in Limerick.
Jerry was a great player though, Jim Green, won All-Stars, and it was very hard to win him from Waterford. Fantastic player, and he would love to see these fellas going on and win an All-Ireland title.
He was mentioned in dispatches at the time when Justin was appointed as coach, so he could just as easily have been coach of this Waterford side.
Yeah, they've done a lot of work with underage teams.
So Ben O'Connor from Newton Chandran. His twin brother Jerry is in the subs, and of course a club mate of his, Pat Mulcahy, wears the number 3 shirt. And their dad, Bernie, coached the team to the Cork County Championship honours 3 seasons ago. Right now it's 1-8 to 1-1 in the 114th Munster hurling final. Waterford attacking. Waterford in the ascendancy, and once again it's Ken McGrath, but the breeze just not helping it in quite as kindly as Ken was hoping. Quick puck out taken by Donald Cusack, outside to Sean O'Halpine, sending it down towards his brother Satanton, catches it well, taking on his man, released inside to Niall McCarthy. Cork looking for scores, and McCarthy might provide one, and he does. Niall McCarthy belting it over, and the huge throng of Cork supporters down at the town end having something to celebrate. 1-8 to 1-2. Just McCarthy's 3rd ever point in championship hurling. Today is his 4th big match. It's Maloney inside, intended for Owen McGrath, seized on instead by Tom Kenny. Kenny had a terrific match against Clare, hurling it into the breeze now, down towards Satanto Halpine, trying to gather once again there. His man is Declan Prendergast. Prendergast wearing number 7. The numbers are constant, but they don't relate to the positions where they would ordinarily expect to play, like Tom Feeney here struggling, having been tapped in the ankle there. Still struggling, minus the hurley. After him there is Alan Brown. Reinforcements arriving, a little pile-up, and the referee might throw it in at the end of it all. Fast and furious. The referee having just to come in here quickly and calm matters down. He'll throw it on the 20-metre line. Hurley's flying, and it's going to be a free out to Waterford. Over a wild pull there. And Alan Brown there being pulled aside by the referee. Under consultation, the message is clear, no more of that, Alan. Responding to the fact that as Cork captain, he was leading a team who were coming into this match really hot favourites in the last couple of weeks to beat Waterford, but he was saying both sides are around the block plenty of times, and they know to discard that tag of favouritism. Stephen Brenner, all about what happens on the day during these 70 minutes. Again, John Molan causing problems. Wayne Sherlock can't bring it up onto a stick. Maloney can. Maloney striking, a little block that time. And the block was by Mark Prendergast, the substitute. Saving an almost certain goal attempt there by Maloney. Brown feeding it back in again. John Molan taking it. He's causing all kinds of trouble to the Cork full back line, but this time just inches to the right of the right-hand post and wide of the target.
It's very tight, Ger. Very tight.
He's causing all kinds of problems, and the fans everywhere and anywhere wearing the Waterford colours, sporting the Waterford colours, are enjoying it. They're ahead by 6 points. Round about 7 minutes plus stoppage time to go to half-time. Wind-assisted Waterford doing well. McCarthy trying to keep Cork in touch. Mickey O'Connell coming onto it. In fact, it's Alan Brown striking, and Brown has put it to the left, and he's put it wide from his deep midfield position. Well, he can't wait, I'm sure, to get the team in at half-time, settle them down and say what you've been playing in the first half is simply not good enough. Waterford have shown the appetite. Cork have waited for it to happen rather than set out to make it happen. Ken McGrath. Well, they might really find those misses very, very costly around about 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, Ger, they're well on top of the attack over a few more points. They're up 6, well on top, like, and time is ticking on.
They could be up 8 or 9.
Should be.
Conor Cusack from Cloyne. And hurling mad East Cork. Getting good length into his puck up, but the Breeze now holding it into the half-forward line. Aaron Brown has come very deep to try and gain some advantage in towards Joe Dean, going one-on-one against Brian Green. And the Dean Green show here. And it's the Killer man who was fouled. Free in. Should be another Cork point. And Joe Dean will take it himself. But indications when that was sent in there between the two of them, Brian Green is not at his most relaxed or easygoing, as it were, when Joe Dean is breathing down. Anyway, near to that Waterford goal. He was bearing on goal, stopped. Now a chance of his second point of the match. He brings Cork just a little bit closer. And the next 4 to 5 minutes could be very, very interesting here from a Cork point of view in particular. If they can edge closer, they're now, 5 behind. If they can edge closer, they'll feel that the task is within them. So it behoves Waterford to stretch it a little bit more and to show that they're the dominant side of the Masters approaching the break. Tony Brown doing that. Bang on cue. Got a lot of physio treatment from Emil Murahirtig, son of Mihal, in the past 3 weeks in Maynooth in County Kildare, and it's done the trick. He's been up to the task, he's been fit, and he's been very effective. Just his presence out there alongside the lively Dave Bennett has had an unsettling effect on Cork.
See that there, Joe, that's what I mean. Nothing is happening for them. Alan Brown was completely on his own ball there, just to tap it on his hand. No, he lets it go out and pops it out over the line.
One of those extremely frustrating afternoons for Alan Brown.
He's playing out very near midfield, and the two-man full forward at the moment, Satanto helping and Joe Dean. In the second half, Joe, you'll find that Alan Brown will be gone right back in on the edge of the square.
I think it's just a reflection of the Breeze and the fact that they're being starved inside anyway. So a line ball here, which will be taken by James Murray from Tallow. Great cut, beautifully done. Nicely gathered in by Tom Kenny. Good hurling, and
there'll be a yellow card here, Joe.
There will be a yellow card there. Oof. Owen McGrath, the player who is down. Just watch this again as Kenny comes out here. His feet once again, and the referee now calling him aside for that. We've already had yellow cards issued to John Milan and Wade Sherlock. Still attention be given, but a yellow card as well. So 2 for Waterford, 1 for Cork. But the important check as we approach half-time is Waterford 1-9, Cork 1-3. There's no camouflaging it from any point of view. It's been a very good first half from Waterford's point of view. This leaves a nasty taste in the mouth, however, as Kenny is fouled unceremoniously. No great attempt to challenge fairly. Referee absolutely spot on. Waterford's game plan is very admirable overall. It's a case of everybody fighting their corners, but everybody is also playing working as a unit. As we watch James Murray unable to hold possession, Timmy McCarthy trying to nip in. We haven't seen too much of him so far. Tom Feeney is the man closest to him, tries the shot from some distance out, but all in vain.
Yeah, daft kind of a shot from an impossible position. Joe Dean and Satanta inside on their own, and instead of crossing the ball, it's crazy kind of a shot.
Those are some of the old failings that affect some of the players and affecting Timmy McCarthy right now. Again, it's Waterford applying the pressure here. Ken McGrath, just a mix-up there, sadly, with Paul Flynn. They exchange a word or two, but they had the opportunity to retain possession as we've crossed the 35-minute mark in the first half.
Very noticeable, Gerard, that both of them were at the ball first. No Corkmen, both Corkmen were behind.
A solid Waterford performance in the first half, doing as much as they would have hoped to do, having a 6-point lead, and once again Fergal Hartley could be in trouble here against Niall McCarthy, being called across by the referee. And this is the height of folly now. If they start to get themselves into stupid situations like this, a possible other yellow card, in fact a probable other yellow card. Hartley, last year's captain. Tony Brown leads the team this afternoon. And it's going to be another yellow. 3 yellows now for Waterford. If they lose the collective cool, they could let this match run away from them. Cork are simply not at the races, haven't really got going at all so far. 35 minutes to go, silly foul. Dean to hit the free.
It looked worse, Gerard, than it was, though.
But it gives Joe Dean a chance to put just 5 between the teams, and he has put it well wide, silencing the Cork fans away to the right-hand side. The Waterford fans much the happier. A lot of work to do in the next 35 minutes. They'll be into the breeze, but they lead by 6. O'Halpine coming first time to meet the ball. James Murray challenging. McCarthy was there as well. And the decision going James Murray's way. It's going to be Waterford's sideline ball.
At the moment, midfield as well, you have the likes of Mickey O'Connell and Dave Bennett having their own private battle.
Curious kind of a match generally. The flowing hurling hasn't been there at all, really. But the object of the exercise is to win. Waterford are the possessors of the Munster Cup. They might just feel they've got one hand on it already. Long way to go. Murray. Beyond O'Connell, runs away from Ronan Curran. Elementary mistakes being made by some of the Cork backs. Out here it comes to Owen Kelly, got the first point of the match on the first attack. Plays it out to Ken McGrath, nice turn. Finding the range, but not the accuracy, and he has put it wide. That's a couple of bad misses now by Ken McGrath. Hasn't scored, hasn't really threatened Ronan Curran as much as he might. And he's aware of that. Tony Brown firing it back out over the sideline, Cork's ball. Many times in this first half it's been scrappy in the extreme, and yet you look at the scoreline and it says 1-9, 1-3, and there's no arguing with that. Curran firing it into the centre, away from Gardner. Ben O'Connor, one of those not to score so far, didn't really get much of a chance. Here he is again, going by Owen Murphy, still running into a couple of Waterford players, looking for reinforcements. Alan Brown has it. They've got support inside with Tatanto O'Halpine. Nobody was on him, but the ball never reached him. It's a free in instead. 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes into injury time. At the end of this first half, Dean will take this. Now, will they make changes?
I wouldn't think so, Joe. You know, they'll be happy enough. They're not playing very well, and they'll probably win only about 5 points down.
They're fortunate to be just 5 points down. Dean has got 3 points, 1 from play, the last 2 coming from frees. 4 minutes now of added time played by Pat O'Connor from Limerick. Lots of talking to do. Hammering home the message from Justin McCarthy's point of view that you have the lead, you've shown what you can do, you can retain your cup, and Cork will have to start playing as they played against Clare. But will Waterford allow them that liberty? Ball has gone missing. And this is another example of the new slitters. Pat O'Connor had a little look at it there before the start of the match and was knocking it around inside where the players went out on the concrete, and it bounces rather awkwardly, I have to say. It's a very lively bounce.
performance is very high, Jeremy, in the minor matches, jumping up 6 or 7 foot off the ground.
Stephen Brenner pucking, last puck of the first half. It's half-time in the Munster hurling final, and Waterford have been the better team. Their game plan has worked. They've taken the fight to Cork. There were 2 goals in their first half. Satanto Halpine for Cork after 6 minutes, and John Milan 2 minutes later for Waterford. Waterford overall played well within themselves on occasions as well. Cork have been poor, but only 5 between them, 1-9 to 1-4. And let's go down to Jim Carney.
Colin Bonner, Waterford selector, you must be pleased that your team are playing well, first of all, Colin.
Well, it's great to come in with a lead of 5 points, but having said that, around 28-minute mark we hit 3 or 4 silly wides. Cork responded with a couple of points, and we've put away a couple of needless frees down near the end of the half to bring it back into it. But I think overall they have been playing well, and the game has been kind of stop-start, and we haven't got into a flow after the first 15 minutes.
But you did have the wind, of course, and Cork will have it now. It has to be a factor.
It has to be a factor. It's easily worth 3 or 4 points, but having said that, it's swirling around. You saw Jody missing a few frees down here against the breeze, so it can be a factor, but sometimes it can close up a defence as well, and maybe it might suit the likes of Thurles to come in onto the high ball, but there's a lot to be played yet in this game.
Yeah, another thing you must be satisfied about, Colin, is that there's flicks in there, there's half hooks, there's blocks as well in your defence in the first half.
Well, it is a Munster final, and both teams are going hell for leather. Both teams are very keen to win. Cork feel they let themselves down last year. Waterford have a point to prove that there was no fluke last year, and if we can get the ball into our full forward line, I think we're doing very well. We scored about 1-3 from play inside, and I think we have a great option inside.
Well, thanks for staying to talk to us.
Thank you.
The views of Waterford selector Colin Bonner there as he heads to the dressing room, just 5 between them at the break in the Guinness Munster hurling final. Analysis in studio very shortly. It's Waterford 1-9, Cork 1-4.
Contest between Waterford, the champions, and Cork, the challengers. And first item up on the screen that you will see is the score at half-time in this year's Munster final. Waterford leading by 5 points then, 1-9 to Cork's 1-4. Look at the frees, similar number of frees for each side, similar number of wides. Cork have had 1 extra wide in it so far in the game, and there have been just 4 bookings so far. 3 against Waterford, that was Fergal Hartley, Owen McGrath and John Milan was booked, and Wayne Sherlock booked for Cork. The first half of that Munster hurling final, Gerlach Nan and Pete Finnerty. We were talking before the match about the fear that Waterford would get off to a bad start, that Cork would get a bit of a run them. They got the goal almost straight away, Gerlach Nan, which set Cork up in this match.
Absolutely, but I mean, Cork are very lucky to be only 5 points down at half time. You know, Waterford, they've owned the first half of this game. All of Cork's old forwards have resurfaced here. Not winning ball in the half forward line. Midfielders totally out of the game. But the worst mistake of all they made was starting David O'Sullivan. You should never start an injured player, especially a player who's been sick the week before the game.
Yes, yeah.
He gave away 1 month to his men he was on at the start. He gave away a free. He changed it to the corner, and Owen McGrath got a point off him. Now, luckily they took him off. And look at the change that's taken place that took him off. He took him off around the 20th minute. Since then, Waterford have scored 1 point by Tony Brown in the 30th minute. Yeah. Waterford totally owned that first 20 minutes. Now they have shot 3 terrible wides, especially Ken McGrath, who hasn't come into the game at all. But in spite of Ken McGrath not playing well, Paul Flynn only playing in patches, Waterford are completely on top all over the field, and they're magnificent altogether in their defence. Their defence is outstanding, controlled by Hartley at centre-back, but all the defenders, the full back line as well, are really, really on top, and the game is really, really set up now for a great second half.
It certainly is. After Halpine got that early goal, Waterford bounced back straight away. John Milan got his goal, and suddenly they were right back in it.
Yeah, I was afraid when Cork got the goal that they might build on that, and especially playing against the wind in the first half, it would have been brilliant for Cork to win just 2 or 3 points down.
This is the Cork goal first of all now.
See the Cork goal. It's a good speculative ball into the middle. It's half blocked actually by Fergal Hartley. But out comes Satanta, first to the ball. I don't know what the goalkeeper was doing out there. He should have left it to his corner back. But look at the ability to win the ball, have the composure to wait and look, and strike at the back of the net. It was a brilliant tonic for Cork, and it came at a time when Cork it came early, but they weren't really in the game. But to credit to Waterford, they bounced back straight away from it. And I think after about 15 minutes, Cork had only a goal and a point on the board. Waterford had 1-6 on the board, and Paul Flynn had only scored a point. So it was an indication of what Waterford were doing at the other end. All the forwards were playing rather than relying on Flynn.
Exactly, as the lads were saying in commentary, Cork were lucky to have got that goal. Then, as I said, Milan bounces back. He took this very well.
He took it really, really well. And we said, you know, I've been saying all along is taking on this Cork defence, you see what they're really made of. A kind of a speculative ball here. Now it's blocked down by Pat Mulcahy, should have caught it. Now Milan straight takes on his man and goes past him and buries it in the net. Milan started off the game as if he was going to own this game in the first.
He was certainly pumped for it, wasn't he?
He was really up for the game. But I think once he got the better of Diarmuid O'Sullivan and Wayne Sherlock went across on him, he hasn't been as effective since. He was built up completely to take on O'Sullivan. He was going to town on him, and next thing O'Sullivan disappears from him. And he doesn't have seem to have the same concentration now as he had when he was on O'Sullivan. Sherlock is a great player now, very tight player. Hit him a box when he came over on him, did a bit of a schmozzle, and Milan isn't the same man since. Now the same thing happened to Milan against Steve McDonough when McDonough came on him the first day against Limerick. So you'd wonder in the second half will really test John Milan to see what kind of a player he is. If he can be as effective in the second half as he was in the first, especially in the first 10 minutes of it, then Waterford will be right back. And if they can just stretch that lead now, they're 5 points up. If they can just stretch that, then they will really have Cork under pressure.
Well, I suppose as Colin Bonner said in the interview there at half-time, and I think it summed it all up, Waterford are the champions and Cork have a point to prove, and that's what the Munster hurling final is all about. Time there. I thought Waterford got a couple of lucky breaks. Joe Dean missed a free, and then Fergal Hartley got a booking. Another referee might have sent him off here. On first looking at this, it looked quite bad, and had Hartley gone off, Waterford would have been in trouble.
It would have been disastrous for Waterford if they got into trouble. Just the ball. Niall McCarthy gets the ball here, takes him on. Now, when first, especially with Niall McCarthy went down, it looked really bad. But I suppose when you're seeing slow motion, you see that there isn't real intent there. The problem is his hurl is too high. Breaks in past his hand and hits him in the head. But even beyond that, Michael, in the first 30 minutes of this game, Waterford conceded no free inside their 65. Real discipline. They did nothing wild. Everything was really disciplined. And of course, indiscipline has been the bane of Waterford down to the years. Really disciplined. Yeah. Since then, they've conceded 3 frees. They've given away that wild tackle. And they've got to be careful of that in the second half, you know, because Joe Dean will not miss frees when he has the wind behind him. He has 2 scored already. So they've got to keep that discipline, keep that team plan, no matter what way things are going. They're getting a bit frustrated because they're not getting the scores in the last 15 or 20 minutes. That's the time you must keep your discipline. Discipline for Waterford is the key to winning this game.
And, Pete Finnerty, this would be a big issue because that ball's going to be coming in deeper at them now with the breeze behind Cork.
They're going. When you play against the breeze, it can crowd a back line, and that helps because the more crowded it is, the less space there is for forwards. It was a fantastic move of moving Dave Bennett out to the middle of the field, because what it actually did was created the room for the Waterford forwards, but it also crowded everything around midfield, the half back line. Now Bennett is going to have to come again to midfield. There'll be a lot of breaking ball. In fairness, if Hartley and Pendergast and Murphy, if all they do all day long is beat the ball out in front of them, you'll have Tony Brown, you'll have Bennett coming running onto that ball. Low ball up along the wings again. Waterford have speed in their forwards, and when they created that room in the forward line for the first 20 minutes, they were skinning Cork. So they have to create that room again. They'll have to carry maybe a bit further to try and create goal chances or easy point chances. But there is plenty of opportunities against the wind. The wind will win nothing for you. What will win this game is whichever team comes out of that dressing room and for the next 40 minutes has the right frame of mind and gets into the game early. If Waterford get into it and get a score or 2 on Cork, it's going to put doubt in these young minds. Waterford have been here before. They were here last year. At half-time, we still even doubted them last year. They went and they did it. And now today, if they come out with that frame of mind, half-time came just at the right time for them because they were beginning to lose their shape. Hartley got booked. They'd missed 1 or 2 opportunities in front of goal, and they were getting a bit distorted. Now they're focused again. They're reunited. 40 minutes for a chance to be the most famous Waterford team ever. They have to give it everything.
Cork, on the other hand, have taken the full advantage of the half-time break to steady themselves for this battle that's surely going to rage in the second half of this Munster hurling final. We're looking forward to it. Back again to Cyril and Ger.
Thank you, Michael. Well, we're just checking. No changes definitely on the Waterford side. I haven't seen any changes on Cork either. It looks to be the case. The only switch, of course, Mark Prendergast coming in for Diarmuid O'Sullivan after 15 minutes of the first half. And that was the only change coming up to the break. And that's the change right now. So 35 minutes to resolve this Guinness Munster hurling final as Fergal Hartley breaks through from centre half back. Still Hartley trying to set up a chance beyond Maloney. Oof. A rare foray into the opposing half by the centre half for Waterford. Hartley. Now maybe there's gaps at the other end. Here's his man, Niall McCarthy, going through, going by the shoulder. Setanto Halpine. Oh, Halpine! It's stayed out somehow. And Joe Dean follows up and puts it over the bar, his fourth.
Off the crossbar, Jerry, let off for Waterford there. Could have been in the net.
Real let off. The goal was there, waiting. But Setanto Halpine opened up the broad shoulders. This is where he struck it off the crossbar. Wow. Tremendous force. But it's 1 point rather than 3 for Cork. The gap now down to 4 points. John Gardner, Sean O'Halpine, Tom Kenny. Feeney here trying to take it away. Comes out here towards Ken McGrath, who has gone into midfield in a switch with Dave Bennett. Well, Waterford were out first after the break. I'm sure Justin said, we're playing okay, the game plan is doing what we intended to do, and you're working that plan.
Yeah,
but, Cork mentors, well, they kept them back an extra couple of minutes. I'm sure they were firing rockets at this particular team.
Yeah, Waterford will be very happy because you'll find that the likes of Milan and these fellas with a pace, you know, McGrath, Kim McGrath will come more into it in the second half against the breeze. Now, Kinney's gone out midfield and they could actually suit him out there open play. He really hasn't opened up his shoulders yet, but he's capable of doing it.
And the referee is calling across a couple of players. It appears to be Pat Mulcahy and Paul Flynn. They had a little set too before the match even started. Flynn left the action at one stage to be replaced by Peter Queally because he had a blood injury. And the referee once again laying down the law between the full forward and the full back. 2 yellows.
Gerard, someone is going to get caught in these yellows because he's given a lot of them at the moment, so there's a lot of fellas in yellows.
6 so far. As we watch Ken McGrath fire it in from way out the field, and he puts it wide. Cork now with the wind at their back. They've got a point so far when they might have had a goal. And that's Pat Mulcahy with his yellow, and Paul Flynn also on yellow. 1-9 to 1-5. Donald Cusack from the town end of Semple Stadium in Thurles. McGrath. Will he play? A great deal better out there in the wide open spaces of midfield. Kept in there by Paul Flynn. Awkward angle ball inside. Milan tries to make it, so to his own McGrath. Coming across here is Wayne Sherlock. Hand passed into the clear. Kenny trying to get away. The man from Granada firing it away downfield. Trying to lift the tempo of this particular Cork team's play. Niall McCarthy racing onto it, right on the sideline. Tricky one, difficult, but he's equal to it, and he's gone over the bar.
Yeah, Jerry's playing well, like he's causing trouble going down the middle, and he's after taking a good score now. Up the Fergal Hartley to use his old brains and start getting in tight them.
That's 2 points now he scored against Fergal Hartley, who started the half by going deep into Cork territory, but he's back here now defending against McCarthy, and McCarthy has got his second. 3 between them. Waterford, the Munster champion, still leading. Ben O'Connor now. It's a much changed Cork team in terms of attitude and approach. Not a good finish. Poor final execution by O'Connor. He's yet to score. The man on the opposite flank at left half forward, Timmy McCarthy, yet to score. Likewise, Alan Brown, yet to really get into it. The Waterford captain didn't score against Clare either. And looking through the subs list, you've got the likes of Shawnee McGrath, Jerry O'Connor, Ben's twin, also anxious to come in and play their parts. No changes so far in the second half. Waterford now looking to try and establish or re-establish their mastery once again. Good balance and control taken by Ronan Curran. Up towards McCarthy, loses the helmet. Cork retain possession. It's with Alan Brown crossing the 65-metre line. Into Timmy McCarthy, chance of a score, checking inside. James Murray firing it, but he fires it wide and badly wide. 2 missed chances now by McCarthy in this game. One in the first half from way on the far sideline, and one in a more central role here in the second.
They were disappointed there, Joe, because not only did he a great chance, but he had too many in his outside completely free.
Stephen Brenner playing his 7th championship match for Waterford. Broken down here by Owen Kelly. One of 3 Vodafone All-Stars playing in this Waterford side today. Joe Dean leaving it there, anticipating Alan Brown's approach, but it's Brian Green who nips in. Takes control on his left-hand side, gets it only as far as Hartley, but Hartley in space, clears well, beyond Maloney. Batted down by Tom Kenny. Kenny approaching the Waterford goal with style. Good poise. Can he finish? The answer is yes.
He's getting on top of that far wing. He's being pushed down into midfield and past it at times, Joe.
This is a bit more like the performance that Cork rather served up against Clare, and Waterford now at the receiving end as Clare were that day, and there are 2 between them, 1-9 to 1-7.
Stephen Brennan Dodger is getting great into his puck-outs.
And there's another example. Drops in towards the half-forward line. Ronan Curran in difficulty, waiting for support to come. It comes from Tom Kenny once again. He's playing well, fired up against Tony Brown here. Brown's preparations very badly hampered going into the match because of the well-publicised ankle injury. And he's had a lot of ankle injuries down the last number of seasons, but he was effective enough in the first half. And his very presence fired up Waterford. Right now it's John Gardner, the other number 8, trying to fire up the Cork crowd, but a long-range free. And the Piercing man gets his first of the afternoon from midfield for the foul on Kenny. And now it's Cork's turn to punish Waterford emphatically. One between them, 1-9, 1-8.
Yeah, Joe, it's a wonder they don't bring out John Milan a little out to wing forward and maybe switch inland to Maloney, because no ball coming in at the moment. And once they get started with it, these Cork forwards are dangerous if the ball keeps coming.
We wondered how strong that breeze and how influential it would be. Ken McGrath looking for Waterford's first score of the second half. Inside, beyond Owen Kelly that time, runs away. Easy one for the goalkeeper, Donald Cusack. Out to right half forward towards Ben McGrath, batted down. Tony Brown coming back towards it, picks it up here in midfield. Former hurler of the year, that was back in 1998. Declan Prendergast attempted clearance, blocked down. Kenny, or Feeney rather, coming to Waterford's rescue towards McGrath, taken by John Gardner, looking for another. Gardner has put the sides level.
Some game now, Jared. These guys are on fire, and let's Waterford change that half forward and midfield. They're going to be in trouble because there's no ball passing it.
Cork 1-9, Waterford 1-9. John Gardner with 2 points now, 1 from a free, now 1 from play, and Cork are right back in it. That's 5 points by Cork in 8 minutes of the second half. Tony Brown contesting. One back here by Waterford's Owen Murphy, swept away by Ronan Curran, way over towards Satanto Halpine. Keeping tabs on him over there is Declan Prendergast. Prendergast trying to make some headway, close to the sideline, line ball. Line ball to Cork. Huge attendance here, over 50,000, ready to enjoy this second half. Only 8.5 minutes gone. A honeymoon couple down in Glendore in County Cork are enjoying it right now. Cork fans married yesterday, Rona and Richard. Well done and congratulations. This is Mickey O'Connell. Halpine, this is Satanta. Brother Asaki played with the minors, both of them over 6'4". Ben O'Connor racing in, awkward angle. And that has gone for a 65. It's the game's first. O'Connor was stealing inside the cover here. Waterford at 6th and 7th been blown apart in this phase of the game, but there is a long way to go.
There's a very tight angle there now. He's going to square it back out to the forwards coming in.
Well, this is really testing Waterford's mettle and resolve. And right now Tony Brown has an arm injury, which is causing some concern. Very popular player, Tony Brown, but it's the Cork fans who are much the happier right now. Here's O'Connor, challenged by Brown, and he injured himself, falling down very awkwardly indeed, keeping the danger at bay, but at some cost to himself.
Yeah, Joe, if they have an injury, you'll probably find that the people expecting Peter Queely, it could be Seamus Prendergast that will come on, because he's big and strong and forceful.
He came on in the second match against Limerick, and he's a full forward. Donald O'Grady will be much the happier. Whatever he had to say at half-time has worked. It's a 65 for Cork. John Gardner will take it. And Waterford looking to bring in Seamus Prendergast from Ardmore, who's a brother of Declan. Declan, the younger of the two. Gardner mishitting this one, dropping it in towards Alpine and Alan Brown. Brown kicking, and he's kicked it wide, but off a Waterford player. And Stephen Brenner isn't one bit happy. They are. But they get another 65.
He actually mishit it as such, it will turn out to be a dangerous ball. You'll find that he won't miss it this one, he'll go for broke.
Not sure if John Gardner plays golf, but his swing is absolutely superb. Lovely balance.
There's no golf on his mind today, Ger.
He's landed it on the green. Another point. 3 for Gardner. 2 from freeze, 1 from play. And Andy Maloney is going off the Waterford team. And the man who's come in is Seamus Prendergast, a full forward for a full forward. But he needs to get the ball down there.
Yeah, and they're shoving Milan out to wing forward. Makes sense because he has pace.
The thought which was entering my mind during the first half, how well Waterford had done with pretty limited resources overall. Justin McCarthy's expert coaching has brought the very best out of them. But now they're being faced with a massive challenge. Cork lead. First time of the match, 110 to 19. And once again, it's the raiding Ben O'Connor. Great pace. Support outside with Mickey O'Connell, going for the point himself. Really ambitious one, that one. And he had players inside like Alan Brown and Joe Dean, and it never came next to near them.
Joe often have to weather this, this onslaught from Cork just to hold on. They're just defying down. They're still in this game. They're just not getting the ball up. But they're quite capable to get scores that can rope the ball up. And there's a long, long way to go.
It's approaching the end of the third quarter, as it were. They were expecting this kind of assault from Cork, and they've not been disappointed. Ken McGrath, low ball inside towards Prendergast, might work. Doesn't quite come off initially, but Milan has it. Against 3 or 4 red shirts from Cork. Jersey was being pulled, he's fired up, and it gives Waterford a chance just to settle down and draw level. This should go over.
He has pace, Gerald, like the right to bring him out. He has to use that pace to take him on because he is causing trouble when he gets on the ball.
Dave Bennett coming up to hit it. Dave, who played Fitzgibbon Cup with UCC, so he knows plenty about Cork and about Cork hurling. 3 points so far. In fact, it's Paul Flynn who's going to take it. He goes short to Milan.
It worked, Joe. Paul Flynn was brave enough to do it. Give it to Milan. He stuck in the net. The Cork guys are having a chat on the goal line.
What a great piece of individualism from Waterford's Paul Flynn, who stepped up to take it rather than Bennett. And Milan fired it in for his second goal of the day.
Flynn was brave, Joe. A brave man, a brave decision.
That's 3 goals Milan has now scored. And he's playing in his 7th championship match. Great response by Waterford. And an equally good response by Cork. Ben O'Connor. First point of the day. Fast and furious, and it's 2-9 to 1-11. This has been way out on the sideline. So 15 points to 14. Waterford have stolen back into the lead by 1. Tom Kenny under it there with Owen Kelly. Sideline ball. We should be in for a cracking last quarter.
Yeah, Joe Waterford will be happy because they've got a great goal to come right back into the game.
Tony Brown back to full fitness, ready to take the sideline cut. Seamus Prendergast waiting inside. Mount Sion maestro. Such a great sideline cut, however. John Gardner snaps it up to Ben O'Connor. Got that last point for Cork. Huge one. Great ball. Over.
They have to do something with Joe because he's gone completely on top. Like he's very, very risky and great pace. I don't know who they're going to put on him, but they want to mark him tight because he is beginning to open up. He has missed a few, but he's got 2 great ones.
There he is again here, causing all kinds of problems, real consternation when he gets possession. So it's 112 to 2-9, teams level yet again. 15 points minutes apiece. The 114th Guinness Munster hurling final. Timmy McCarthy batting it ahead for himself. Now McCarthy and McCarthy getting in one another's way. The two McCarthys in the half-forward line of McGrath. That's Ken getting it down towards Milan. Breaks out towards Owen Kelly. Kelly from Mount Sion, challenged by Tom Kenny. Kenny sticking to his task. They claim he picked it off the ground. He gets away with it. He gets away with possession as well. Everybody's after him. It's Owen Kelly, the number 9, chasing in vain. Frustrating for Waterford. Ambitious by Ben O'Connor. And in the end, Cork missed the opportunity. End-to-end stuff.
Yeah, Joe, I'd say, the ref is going to have a talk.
Because that's Owen Kelly who was pulling across wildly. There it was, the attempted pick-up, but I think there was just enough of a hop in it.
Yeah, if you're from Waterford, though, Jerry, you'd be saying to be going in the other way. It was very, very tight.
Now, the referee spoke to Owen Kelly. I'm not sure if he gave him a yellow card. We were looking at the reprise of the action just a little while ago.
No, Jerry, no yellow card, just told him to calm down. He can't be swinging like that.
So 2-9 for Waterford, 15 points, 112 for Cork, 15 points, 16 and a half minutes gone in the second half. Ken McGrath taking command of the situation at midfield now, wearing 11. Good positional play there by Pat Mulcahy. Great direction with his clearance down towards Joe Dean. In there against Brian Green. Brian Green very assertive. Whips it away back down. Runs on towards Owen McGrath. Once again it's Mulcahy going by Milan. Pat Mulcahy hand passing it outside into the clear. Tom Kenny, what a match he's playing. Everybody's after him. Nobody able to get close enough to him. Towards Sitanto Halpine. Got that Cork goal in the first half. Turns well. Gets well away from Seamus Prendergast. Oh, Halpine again. Laid outside towards Ben O'Connor. Awkward. Right on the end line. Brown!
It's a thriller. It's a fantastic score.
Alan Brown!
Ben O'Connor squared the ball back, and Alan Brown, who hasn't been having a great game, pricked it into the back of the net. Great run by the Santi himself, down along the middle. Maybe the pass wasn't perfect, but Ben O'Connor got on the end of it, pricked it back. Here's the pass, not a great one. Ben O'Connor just flicks it back out, and here is Alan Brown, bang! Gives it no chance to Stephen Brenner. Now Cork in the driving seat. Waterford have to answer that.
It looked like the chance was gone, but Alan Brown had other ideas, and it's his 4th goal ever in the championship. It's put his team, the team he captains, 3 points in front. What a match. Scrappy in the extreme in the first half, thrilling in the second. And Waterford are making changes. And it looks to be Paul O'Brien who's going on for Owen Kelly. Kelly was spoken to by the referee a little while ago. Waterford have possession. They have it through Paul Flynn. Can he be the match winner yet? Because it's anybody's game. And Paul Flynn going in beyond Mark Prendergast that time to make his point to the umpires, feeling that it might have been a 65.
Yeah, Paul thought it was a 65. He was claiming it, but the umpire waved it wide.
They'll claim everything. They'll battle for everything. The prize is a great one. The biggest prize of all in Munster hurling. And the puck-out results in a line ball to Waterford. Here it is again, Paul Flynn coming through. Now he was claiming, but a Cork man touched it last. Hard to see from that angle there. And the umpires weren't interested.
Yeah, Jerry Cork will be discussing with Donald Hughes. He put the puck-out over the line,
And the referee, Pat O'Connor, as we look at that new spongy type slitter here, have a word with one of his umpires, who's Pat Horn, back in action for the first time in 12 weeks. You tell me he's been out with a calf injury, and he wants the Hurleys, I think, brought back, or does he? No, he wants the Hurley man, I presume, to stay quiet.
I think he was on the pitch there with a drink or hurling, like he has a red bib on him. He looked very like a Cork player. That's what he's on about.
This is Owen McGrath from the centre of the field down towards Prendergast. This is the substitute coming forward here, Seamus Prendergast, and Milan. Oh, number 1!
This guy has gone wild today.
The hat-trick man has done it! 20 minutes into the second half. Goals after 8 minutes. 13 minutes of the second half. And now 7 minutes later, here he comes again. The man from De La Salle fires it past Donald Cusack. He hit it venomously. It was a beauty.
It's that left hand, Jerry. It's very, very hard to Hooper stop, and he has the pace. He's brought Waterford right back in the game again, just when they seem to be gone out of it.
Level. 2-12, 3-9. And it's a free to John Gardner and Cork. What a contest. Alan Brown, who's going to win the Munster Cup for 2003? Jodine. Neat turn, going well back, however, towards McCarthy, who held on to it well, despite the attendance of Fergal Hartley, who fouled. The necktie challenge results in a free in to Cork. So 18 points apiece. It gets much higher than this, as it will. We'll be getting out the calculators.
Pressure on Jodine here. He's a good free taker, but these are all pressure ones.
Cork are preparing Jerry O'Connor on the sideline. Dean to take 4 points in the match. It's gone well to the right, it's gone wide. The teams are level still here in Thurles in this Munster final. Waterford fans must be wondering what hit them for the opening 12 or so minutes of the second half. But they have weathered the storm, and Milan's goals have everybody in good spirits supporting the blue and white. And the issue is going to be in doubt, it seems, right to the end, all the way to the 70th minute, as Ken McGrath picks it up. He's 45 metres out, hits it ambitiously, and he's put it wide. He can appeal all he wants, but he's hit it wide, and he hasn't scored so far. And he's not the Ken McGrath of the last couple of years.
Not scoring, Jerry. He's getting a lot of ball. He's winning high puck out. John Garner won't be too happy. He's still keeping Waterford in the game once Cork having the ball.
This is a better puck out by Donald Cusack, right down the centre. Taken well by James Murray. Trying to keep it in play here, but having a little bit of difficulty. Waterford's substitute, Paul O'Brien. Green is under pressure from Dean! A goal! From Joe Dean!
This game is everything, Jared. The Dino has got it. Grabs the ball, round the corner back, and sticks it in the back of the net.
Cork are in front again in a thrilling Munster hurling final. No wonder nearly 55,000 people wanted the precious tickets. Brian Green couldn't cut it out. Dean was in. Thanks a lot. And this is how it started. Fired in there by McCarthy in towards Joe Dean, and he finished clinically. It's a great final.
Yeah, Jerry, it's hard to see like Waterford to come back with a great goal from Milan. It's hard to keep seeing them come back with these goals going in, because like Cork half back are still on top. There's very little ball going in.
But both backlines, both inside backlines, the full backline that is, are quite capable of slipping up at any moment, as we've seen. With Dean about at one end, John Milan at the other end. Who knows what
six goals, Joe?
John Gardner, and that is wide. Doesn't miss too many. Cork with the wind for the second 35 minutes. Nearly 23 and a half minutes gone in the second half. Justin McCarthy's out in the centre of the field, I can tell you off camera right now, as that man watches on from his vantage point.
Yeah, he's checking with Tony Brown to see how he is.
Because they're thinking about bringing Peter Queally in. In fact, more than thinking about it, they're preparing him to come in. And he'll have a good, I'm sure, 10-15 minutes in him. Will it be the winning of the match for the Munster champions? Up against it against Cork. Ronan Curran. Standing all alone there was Tom Feeney, who's discarded the black helmet. Taking it down comfortably, Ronan Curran. Hand passed outside to Mickey O'Connell, the Middleton man. Lobbing it towards top of the left. Joe Dean batting it down. Has Alan Brown away to his right. Finds him. Brown's first touch not good. Chance to turn around and knock it over the bar, which he duly does. And make it Cork 3-13, Waterford 3-9. A goal and a point now for Alan Brown.
Great play by Dean. He sees him on the outside, goes on a little fleet back out. Even though Brown's first touch is hectic, he still has time to take it up and have a look and flick it over the bar.
And Tony Brown is about to be taken off the Waterford team. He's given everything, but it's 3-13 to 3-9. Crisis time now for the Munster champions. We're approaching 25 minutes of the second half gone, and Peter Queally is in, as the referee is also in, trying to diffuse the early action involving Queally and Mickey O'Connell.
Yeah, they're having a chat there, to squaring up to another. To be fair to the ref, he's in very fast, but it's a hard old game to referee because they're all kind of at it a little bit.
Peter Quilly, who's a Garda based in Youghal, which is as near to Cork as you can get, I guess, if you happen to be a Waterford hurler. Handshakes all around, and they'll concentrate hopefully now on the action. It's all down to the last 10 minutes, just a bit of stoppage time. Who's going to win this year's Munster hurling final? There'll be a quarter-final place for the loser. O'Halpine breaks it. Timmy McCarthy trying to run after it, but beaten away from it there by James Murray, who's had a good, consistent game for Waterford. Sean O'Halpine steps out over the sideline. He belts it away, but was aware that the line ball was going Waterford's way. O'Halpine, who's a tall man, well over 6 feet tall, but he's one of the smaller of the 4 O'Halpine brothers. Asaki on the Cork minor team, beaten by Tipperary today, tells me he's about 6'4", and Satanta is about 6'4" and a bit.
Cork backs here, Joy, we try to be vigilant. Last time there was a quick free take, was stuck in the back of the net. They're trying to take 1-1 at this stage.
It's a sideline cut by McGrath. Jersey pulled there, the jersey of Dave Bennett. Back out to McGrath comes. O'Connell shouldering. Waterford needing a score, and McGrath can't produce. It's frustrating.
Yeah, Jerry, he's a lot of ball, but just can't seem to get it over the bar.
Well, it's a stage in the match where Cork have taken command, but they're still only leading by 4 points. Well aware that John Mullane could get even more as Waterford bring in Alan Kerwin. The Ballygunner player. So going off Fergal Hartley. They just need to get their method and their rhythm going again. And they have been unsettled by the avalanche of scores coming from Cork. But Waterford aren't out of it by any manner of means. It's a good phase in the match here for the side who came in as favourites but didn't look anything like favourites for the opening 35 minutes of the game.
Like I said, Jerry, they're third in the first 35 minutes. They seem to be the driving seat now, but like still Waterford came back from impossible positions before.
Brenner is poised on his goal line, brother of Johnny, the Waterford star. That's Mickey O'Connell cutting it across towards Ben O'Connor, trying to scoop it up to himself there. Kerwin trying to get it away, the fresh man in. Everybody trying to get that ball away and take possession. It's difficult, it's tough. Timmy McCarthy back to Joe Dean. Dean having just enough latitude but not enough accuracy. But the pressure remains on the Munster champions. 7 minutes or so still to play of the 70. That Declan Prendergast to the left of goalkeeper as Stephen Brenner has gone down injured. Donald O'Grady still exhorting his team for that one final push to see them towards the finishing line and beyond. Cork today looking for their 48th title. Waterford and Justin McCarthy looking for their 7th. And rather their 49th title in Cork's space, they have 48 so far. Shows you the difference between the two counties in terms of tradition and the past glories in the Munster campaign. That's Pat Mulcahy getting it away, only as far as Peter Queally trying to set up John Mullane, perhaps the one man who can really win this for Waterford, taking on Wayne Sherlock, going for another one, and the final pass cut out by Sean O'Halpine. Mullane trying to do too much on his own. He would have expected a bit more from Paul McGrath, the wounded hero, bandaged second half, but he's tapped it over the bar. And now there are only 3 between them. Paul Flynn with 3 points. Sympathetic applause. Do the fans believe it? Do the team believe it that they can still come back and win the championship once again? Flynn has given them a little bit more hope. 3:13 to 3:10. Pressure back on the Waterford backs. Brian Green stepping over the sideline. Ball stayed in. It's away by Alan Kerwin. Comes back to Dave Bennett. He was all alone when he flicked it in towards Seamus Prendergast. Mulcahy in some difficulty. The new man in there, Mark Prendergast, making his clearance. Bad one. Sideline ball to Waterford. More pressure on the Cork backs now. Owen McGrath wanted to take it quickly. Three between them. Dave Bennett's going to hit this one.
It's a game, Joe, that anything could still happen. Cork just wouldn't give the impression of being really, really confident. That last ball to be cleared by Mickey O'Connor. He took all day on it, blocked down, and Waterford got a great score.
The breeze is still very strong, favouring Cork against Dave Bennett as he hit it in and he hit it wide. Groans from the Waterford fans, cheers from Cork followers, and Milan there and Wayne Sherlock again having a little tangle. And Cork about to bring in Jerry O'Connor, still has to come into the action, and the player he's going to come in for will be Mickey O'Connell, the hero when Cork played Waterford back in 1999 in the Munster semi-final that year. Now he's making his way off, and he's coming in. So the O'Connor twins in the Cork forward line. Donald Cusack plucking out, breeze behind him. 4 minutes of the 70 remaining. Kerwin's attempted clearance blocked down here by Joe Dean. Impish as ever, trying to steal inside, almost lost it. Has done so, falls on it, and he touched it on the ground, free out to Waterford. Well, it was all going pretty nicely from a Waterford point of view up to the break. The half-time break was the worst thing possible from their point of view. It allowed Cork get their team in, settle them down, and tell them some home truths. They've grasped the message. They've also seized the initiative, and they're not going to let it slip, it would seem. Brenner and Waterford will have other ideas. Mulcahy coming out positively. Dave Bennett scooping it forward towards Owen McGrath, running into a phalanx of Cork defenders. Back towards Bennett once again. Slightly off balance, and it's over the bar. They're still in it, and he's firing them up.
At this stage, Tom Feeney's gone out centre-back for Waterford, and Jimmy McCarthy's gone midfield for Cork. This game can still swing anyway. Cork are just not putting Waterford away.
Well, that's now 4 points for Dave Bennett. And the referee has indicated how many minutes there are left. And also notice that there's going to be a change. And coming into the action is Michael Walsh from Stradbally. Also played in the last game against Limerick. Waterford playing in their 4th match in the Munster campaign. Played Kerry in round 1. They had 2 games against Limerick. And now here against Cork in the Munster final. They trail by 3. And Sean Gardner taking on Peter Queally. Good shoulder. Regains his balance, fires it in beyond everybody. Dean was trying to keep it in play. 33 minutes are gone in the second half. So 68 minutes in all of the match elapsed. Will be wondering, I'm sure, how many extra minutes the referee will add on. He's taken off Owen McGrath, remember. Is it to be Cork's title? Will the Munster champions come back? Still fighting is Ronan Curran from centre half. Touched away here by Declan Prendergast. That's Kerwin, it's a bad ball out towards Ben O'Connor. Could finish here. Needs to and does. That could be that. 3 for Ben O'Connor from the right half forward position. All coming in the second half after a lacklustre and disappointing first half. But now it's 3:14 to 3:11 we see on screen here in the ground. They're showing 3:10. McGrath outside into the clear towards the new man in, Michael Walsh. Looking for support, 4 Cork players around him. Picked up again here by Pat Mulcahy, thundering into the action in the second half. Ben O'Connor. Well, the scoreboard here locally has it at 3:14, 3:10.
That's wrong, Joe. 3:14 to 3:11. 3:14 to
3 between them. This is going to be taken by Owen Murphy. The scoreboard has been wrong at the minor in the critical stage last couple of minutes of that game, and it's wrong once again here locally. This is Flynn, and he has hit it, and hit it well. 4 points now for Paul Flynn, the man who was involved in setting up the third of the goals for John Mullane for Waterford. And the Waterford fans still believe it's possible. Now it's really confusing here because the team think they are now within 2 points. And I'm not sure that's the case. We think they're three behind Cork. Here's Satanto Halpin in injury time, taking them all on. The man who got that stunning goal in the first half. Slightly off balance. Declan Prendergast did well to deflect it away. Cork have it back to John Gardner, kicking in vain. Puck out to Waterford, no time to lose. And Brenner says to the umpire, "Oh, my way fast." Dermot O'Sullivan watches as his team about to reclaim the Munster title. Walsh tries to flick it through, stopped there by Tom Kenny. He's had a great match, and Wayne back for Cork. Beyond O'Halpin over the sideline and out. And the referee wondering what his linesman's going to do here. The linesman indicating it's going to be a line ball to Cork. Things going their way.
Waterford crowd over there believed that was their ball.
Yeah, I thought so. 36 minutes and 17 seconds of the second half is now gone. Ben O'Connor. And the scoreboard locally still indicates to the Waterford fans and players they're only 2 points behind. We think they are 3. Ben O'Connor. Good cut. That's over.
It's a perfect one, Ger. Can't get better than that.
4 points for Ben O'Connor. Dermot O'Sullivan celebrating. Withdrawn from the Cork team after 50 minutes of the first half. A first half where everything went wrong. A second half when most things have gone right. They're leading deep into injury time. And the referee is calling across Paul Flynn. And Paul Flynn has already had a yellow card in this match, 2 yellow cards. It's a horrible afternoon for Paul Flynn and for Waterford. It's turned really, really sour for them. They're down to 14. They're losing the match. Time is almost up and John Gardner fires it confidently over. And Cork are going to win back the Munster Cup. Gardner scored 4. Cork have scored a victory. And Cork are champions of Munster for the 49th time. John Gardner, one of the heroes. It didn't look possible at half-time. I'm sure the half-time cup of tea was replaced by something else, something a great deal stronger, words rather than liquid, by Donald O'Grady and his selectors, and they have won by 4. In the Munster final, it's Cork 3-16, Waterford 3-12. Cork go on to the All-Ireland semi-finals as we go down to the sideline for comment and to Jim Carney.
Donald O'Grady, congratulations to you. You did this as a player today. It's different, but very sweet, I'm sure.
Thanks, Jim. Yes, it was a good performance. Waterford chose to play with the wind in the first half, hoping to build up a good score, and I think we hung in there. We didn't play very well in the first half, but I think the second half performance showed what we are capable of, and I was very, very pleased with the win.
And they did play well in the first half, in fairness.
They did, but I mean, we said to them, look, it's a gale of breeze, right? It's going to be very difficult to play against it. If we're against it, just hang in there. We knew Waterford would come out for the first 20 minutes as they have done in previous games, and that they give it all, right? And we were just hoping to be there or thereabouts, and 5 points wasn't a huge lead at half-time.
And you were hoping for the first score in the second half?
Well, we were hoping for all scores in the second half, to be honest with you, right? But things worked out well, and I'm very pleased, I must say.
Joe Dean, Donald, missed it pretty straightforward for you, I think. Next ball, he put it in the net.
Well, the way I look at it, Jim, is it takes from 1 to 15 to get the ball up here, and I think it was a first-class performance from all 17 players that we used, and I'm very grateful to them, I must say.
Yeah, and I don't want to go digging again into individuals, but your half-back line, Sean Oak, we know, and we admire him so much, but the other 2 lads, the whole country wouldn't have known an awful lot about them. That line was outstanding.
Well, that's their job, Jim. The half-backs, and they'll just stop up to play and to clear it, like, and did it that well today, I must say.
You know, 2 big performances back-to-back, that's what Cork fans were looking for. They've got it.
Well, we move on. We were hoping to make progress at all times, and we move on from here, and that's what we were hoping to do. And it's nice to progress out of Munster.
Yeah, and the final word, Donald, back door or front door, whatever, the Munster Championship, the Munster final is still a hugely important occasion. What does it mean to you?
Well, I tell you what it means to me, Jim. I mean, the backroom team that I have, the medical team,
the fellow selectors, right, and the trainers. They've done excellent work, right, and I think for them, I think there's great satisfaction, and it was a great occasion. Both Cork and Waterford fans, obviously some fans have to be disappointed. I'm delighted that the Waterford fans are disappointed in other fans because they're the best in the world, so thanks very much.
Great job by you and your team, thank you.
So Donald O'Grady and his selectors then doing their job well. And Sean O'Halpine now talking with Jim Carney.
Sean O, congratulations to you. The fans are in on top of you there. You've hardly had time to draw your breath, but we would ask you just for a reaction to that, Sean O, because it's very sweet for you, and particularly the two lads playing beside you in the half-back line, because that line, you really did your stuff.
I mean, in the second half, when the game started to open up, Tom and Rowan came into their own. To be honest now, they were the kind of the launch pad for the win in the second half. I suppose, looking back in it, it was a game of two halves. Waterford, they hit us for everything in the first half, and going in at half-time, realistically, we were still in with a chance, because I don't know, viewers mightn't realise the win factor involved. It was very heavy, so we had it in the second half, and we just got the goals, and Jim, another Munster title, we're delighted.
But congratulations to you, Sean, and great to see you back playing as good as ever.
All right, Jim, thank you.
So Sean O'Halpine there and his brother Satanto winning their Munster medals here, and it's time for the presentation. Alan Brown is the Cork captain. Christy Cooney, of course, is the Munster chairman, making the presentation.
Congratulated for an exhibition of hurling. Waterford indeed have been tremendous Munster champions. You had an outstanding game today. Keep your heads up, and I'm sure you'll be back in the future. But today belongs to Cork, and in the presence of Michael Whalen of Guinness, it gives me great pleasure now to present the trophy to an outstanding captain and a great Black Rock man in Alan Brown.
It's the Munster Cup, doesn't have a name. It's Cork's for the 49th time. Cork champions in Munster once again.
An Corn Shaw back at Corn August Napashti as Corky. Elaine Gaelga gum, so I'd like to say up to 10 minutes ago, proudest sporting moment I ever had was leading this Cork team out onto the field in Thurles. I'll tell you, accepting this cup on behalf of that Cork team, it overshadows that by a million times. This is the proudest sporting moment of my life, to accept this on behalf of such a tremendous Cork team. We're back. There's a lot of people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank all the supporters who travel in their thousands, who when we found the going tough, he raised our spirits, and even though we were behind the first half, he never let us down. He always kept saying, kept roaring us on, so we appreciate that very, very much. Next, I'd like to thank the Cork management team. I think we were in the despair last year, but I think you'll agree that the attitude from both the players and this Cork management team has brought us back out of that. And to win the Munster Championship was our goal at the start of the year. Hopefully we can go on from that. I'd like to thank Tony Collins, Fred Shee, Shawnee Leary, John Allen, and of course the man who took on the task of bringing us back to this promised land, Mr. Donald O'Grady. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, of course, O2, who have been very, very helpful throughout the year and looked after our need. I'd like to thank Waterford for such a sporting game. You'll agree that it wasn't a dirty stroke, and they played it fair. I give 3 cheers to Waterford. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. And last of all, again, I'd like to thank the dedicated bunch of lads down there. We got it back, lads, and hopefully we can go on from here. And I'm sure the Cork supporters again will give us another round of the banks in the league, which they sang so well a couple of weeks ago back here. Thanks very much.
A very, very happy Alan Brown. And And Cyril, Cork are back.
Yeah, great game, Joe. We kind of said it the last day against Clare. I felt that this Cork team is going to go all the way up to Croke Park. And the half back line the second half, Ronan Curran had a great number 6, O'Halpin had a great number 7. But for me, Tom Kenny was fantastic. He hurled out of his skin. He's only a new fella as such, and I thought he gave a brilliant display. Fair play to Waterford, Jared. They played very, very well. You'd be sorry for Paul Flynn. It was just frustrated. Second yellow card. It wasn't a dirty game as such, and he's still a great hurler. He got some great points. Waterford will really regroup, Jared, because they're very hard to beat. But this Cork, you'd have to say the Waterford around for a while, kind of hanging on. Whereas Cork are fresh and coming, and they could go on to great things. They look a team destined for a big day in September.
Whatever about the scoreboard here in the stadium from time to time, there's no denying Cork's victory. They are the champions. We make it by 3-16 to 3-12. And so the Cork team then coming down here with the cup, and as in Croke Park, the fans by and large have been asked to stay off the field. And a little lap of honour now by Alan Brown, who's proving to be a very, very pleasant captain. A really good player, comes from a great family of hurling enthusiasts. You think of Richard and John as well, of course.
Sure, it's a long time that I've heard seen Cork supporters excited, even early in the morning here in Thurles. It was as if they felt this is the team that's going to put us back on the hurling map, and they've really come out with their thousands and thousands. They're parked for miles out the road. Waterford are fantastic supporters, but I've never seen as many Cork people before, I think, at a Munster final.
Well, they come early because they're here in Thurles. You can get good tripe and drisheen, you know, and it does help. It settles everybody, and it settled this Cork team. They are the champions on their lap of honour, and the banks are being heard everywhere and anywhere. As we celebrate Cork's victory here with them, and salute the fine performance of Waterford as well as Munster champions. But it's Cork's day, and we're going back to our studio and Michael.
Thank you very much indeed to Gerard Canning and Cyril Farrell. So the Cork team in their victory parade. A victory parade that a lot of people, Gerard Nan and Pete Finnerty, weren't quite sure this Cork team would actually be achieving today, but they sure have done that.
Yeah, the big question mark coming in today is, could they repeat the performance they gave against Clare? Now, they didn't repeat it in the first half, but in the second half they did, and with interest. Their half-back lines absolutely stormed into the game, completely controlled it. Tom Kenny, Ronan Curran was absolutely outstanding, Sedento O'Halpin. And I suppose the fact that they scored 2-12 to Waterford's 2-3 in the second half tells its own story. There's an iron will about this Cork team, as well as their skill and their movement and everything else. There's real steel in this team, and as Sel was saying there, they're a team that looks as if they're going places. But let's give full credit to Waterford. I think this was Waterford's best display, even better than last year, because when things were going against them, they fought back and back and back, and it was only in the last 2 or 3 minutes really that the game was really lost, and a few bad wides at crucial times undid them. But having said that, nothing can take away from Cork's victory. Well deserved, fantastic second half performance, and this you can today, if you've ever asked why is the Munster Championship got such intrigue, it's because of games like this. Brilliant stuff.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt about that, Pete Finnerty. I mean, a high-scoring game, all the passion was there. It was in doubt down to the last couple of minutes. You couldn't ask for much more in a sport, could you?
You couldn't. It's just tremendous. The Munster final is a very special occasion, but when you get a scoreline like that of 3-16 to 3-12, you're on the edge of your seat until the last puck of the ball. It was fantastic. They did in 7 minutes what Waterford did in 35 minutes. They eliminated their lead in 7 minutes. Ben O'Connor, I thought, was majestic down along the right wing. And all that side of the field, Tom Kenny had a super game, Ronan Curran, John Gardner, and then you had Joe Dean nipping in for the goal. All the Cork team came out in the second half determined. They were focused. Their half-back line cut off the supply of ball for the Waterford full forward line, which was the dangerous line. And the 1 or 2 occasions when it did go in, Waterford scored goals. Waterford hadn't scored a point in the second half for 30 minutes, and it was difficult to see where their scores were going to come from because the forwards weren't allowed to hurl with the determination of the Cork team. We asked the question before the game, is this Cork team good? How good are they? We couldn't assess it on the Clare victory. At half time, they still hadn't told us. But 10 minutes into the second half, we knew they were good, we knew they were capable, they held their composure, they got ahead. They lacklustered for about with 10 minutes to go in the game. The game was there to be won by whoever was going to grab it, but again they upped the ante again the last few minutes and they finished it off. This victory will do them untold confidence. They will grow from this. They now have something. They have a Munster middle together. They'll go back. They're in an All-Ireland semi-final, and who's going to come out of the qualifiers and beat them?
Sure, well, that's a very good question, Pete Finnerty. So, Sean O'Halpine and the Cork players gradually make their way to the dressing room. Donal O'Grady, their manager, very calm and composed as Donal is in the interview there, very pragmatic. He'll have them right for the next day. But you better believe something. There's going to be a few hoops and hollers inside that Cork dressing room. They appreciated this win today. Pete and Ger are staying with us here in the studio. We have more analysis and a look at some of the incidents from this particular match right after the commercial break. So, do stay with us. Won and lost for this year. At the end of the match there in the presentation we saw the Waterford manager and selectors Justin McCarthy and the selectors pondering their future. Well, their future is a place in the draw which will be coming up next week. Waterford not gone out of the championship obviously, Ger Nan. They have to pick themselves up again now after this.
They have, and it's going to be very, very difficult. You know, if you see how the game petered out in the end, Fergal Hartley taken off, Tony Brown taken off, Paul Flynn sent off, Owen Kelly, an All-Star last year, taken off. So 3 All-Stars, 4 potential All-Stars gone by the end of the game. Now, those are the players who should really be giving the leadership today. Now, even worse for them today was Ken McGrath still hasn't got his confidence back. You know, and it's a shame. He hurled really well.
Fantastic hurler. He had no clue where the posts were today.
Correct. He won great ball at midfield. He won great ball in the half-forward line. But everything he's aimed for the goal, and everything seemed to go wide in him. But at the same time, you know, they never allowed Cork to open up a big gap. It looked 10 minutes into the second half. Listen, this is going to be a runaway for Cork. Yeah. But they held in there, and every time Cork got 3 points ahead, up pops John Mullane and scores a goal. Because, you know, Cork will also look at this. There's a weakness in their full back line. We've always said when this Cork full back line is taken on by a forward, they're in dire straits. And Mullane proved that today. He scored 3 goals. There were other openings there that could have got goals as well. But still at the same time, Cork, what really has improved in Cork, I've seen them in a good few games now. I saw them in the league. Their first touch has really improved. Their fast control, their snappy delivery, their movement. Now, Donal O'Grady has done a fantastic job there. And they're improving all the time. I think they were much better today than they were in the game against Clare.
Yeah.
And you can be sure that, especially the younger players, they'll improve from this on again.
Yeah. OK, before we go to Pete, let's just have a look at the statistics from today's Munster final and just wrap up on those and clear up a couple of points that they normally tell us. They're usually of interest. Down along the statistics and look at the frees and wides and so on. I think in this particular occasion the actual scoreline will be interesting as well, just to clarify that. And there is confirmation of the score. I know there was having some difficulty down in Semple Stadium at the scoreboard, but it was 316 to 312, the final score. 4-point win for Cork. Number of frees, 11 to Cork. There was 9 to Waterford. Wides, 14 wides actually for Cork in the course of the game. Waterford, 9 wides, and I'm afraid, Ken, you got most of those. And I looked then at the number of yellow cards, and the one sending off then was, of course, Paul Flynn, as you saw towards the end of the match. Pete Finnerty, when Cork came out in the second half, they hit a couple of blindingly wonderful points, one of them by Tom Kenny from wing back, and in a way to me this exemplified the changed Cork, if you like, in the second half, or how Cork had suddenly opened themselves up.
Yeah, in the first half, the Cork half-back line were under pressure. They were torn apart. Waterford had taken a man out of their forward line, and it was difficult to find their shape. But in the second half, they stormed into it. And here we see Tom Kenny. He was majestic.
Did you ever score a point like this?
I did. I remember back in about 72 in an under-12s match. But it's a great quality of a wing-back to be able to do that. But it was a point that seemed to lift everything. Ben O'Connor got 3 or 4 more points from virtually the same position. But it meant that Cork were back. They weren't fluent in the first half. There was no cohesion between them. But once they got on top, and once that line is formed, and if you have a half-back line, like Clare had a great half-back line, when I played we had a good half-back line, but like when you have a half-back line, you cut out so much danger in front of your own goal. And in the first half, I suppose 80% of the ball was in the Waterford forward line. In the second half, 80% was in the Cork forward line. And ball down there will be scored. And when you have the likes of Dean and Brown and Satanta coming onto ball, and like O'Connor was unbelievable, forwards like that will skin you. We said in the first half, if Waterford could put the pressure on them, stop the Cork half-forward line or half-back line from getting the good clearances in, well then they'd have a chance. But once they started placing the ball, once they started running onto it, the score started coming.
Well, man, they certainly can't blame for the defeat today down at Waterford as John Milan. 3 goals and a point in the course of this match. 2 goals, Joe, we were talking about this in the second half, and he was doing everything he could to keep Waterford hanging in there.
Well, I'll tell you, today he proved what a really good player he is, because, as we said at half-time, he was going to town on Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Sherlock moved over to him, Sherlock controlled him, but then, for a finish, he really... Now, that was a great goal. Great thinking here from Paul Flynn.
Yeah.
And comes to Milan and he buries it.
In a way, that was Paul Flynn's goal.
You know, you always warn players about Paul Flynn. Don't expect that he's going to go for a point. He's going to try something different, and there he did try something different. Now again, look, when the ball breaks in, look at the Cork full back line. They're all outside. There's no one covering behind. He's cleared through and he buries it. Now the Cork full is... Pat Mulcahy is still not used to playing at full back, covering behind the cornerbacks. There's no one covering behind. He breaks through, but his finish for all 3 goals today was absolutely top class. Give the goalie, give Donald Cusick no chance whatsoever.
Would you look at O'Sullivan for full back again?
Well, I think that, you know, Diarmuid O'Sullivan came into the game today with a virus, didn't play well. They'll have to look at it. I think Pat Mulcahy was taken out of it for the finish. He was putting a corner back. Sullivan, I reckon, will be back there in 5 weeks' time. It's his best position. He doesn't seem to play as well anyplace else.
No, and I mean, he's such a physical presence as well. At the
he's a big, strong, burly man. Sure. And I remember last year or the year before, he scored a pint against Limerick. He must be from 120 yards. When nobody was doing anything on the field.
In the qualifier,
he was trying to lift them from full back.
And he knows how to cover behind his cornerbacks. Pat Mulcahy is a centre back, really, converted to a full back, and he played like a centre back today. Attacks the ball the whole time. Sullivan is more careful. Covers in behind them, and that's how Waterford got their goals today. Nobody covering in behind the 2 cornerbacks. Milan threw, buries in the net. Now think of facing DJ Carey, Eddie Brennan and all those. Cork will be thinking of that. They think of everything. They cover every angle, so I'd be very surprised if Sullivan wasn't back at full back for the next game in 6 weeks' time.
Well, I suppose, George, you know, as a manager, it's always nice to be thinking about those things of where you might improve from a winning situation.
Yeah, they'll also be looking at midfield. You know, they didn't control midfield today, even in the second half. Now, John Garner struck a few good points, but you couldn't say they ever dominated midfield. Mickey O'Connell had not a good game today. He was taken off for a finish, and they'll be looking at the midfield again. If they can sort out their full back line, and if they get maybe one more good midfielder in there, maybe even Derek Barrett, a strong midfield in there, I think they'll be a really great team, and it'll take a super team to beat them.
Sure, let's have a look at the Cork goals from the second half as well, because Alan Brown made his contribution, I suppose, the captain grabbing one of those, and Joe Dean, the other one. You can't give Joe.
Well, here's Tom Kenny again, you know, breaking out, very like Wayne Sherlock in the way he moves out with the ball onto Setanta. I suppose Setanta had a bit of a disappointing game for himself today, but a great run here, right attack. Now it's a kind of a hospital pass, all right, out to Ben O'Connor. Now, but Ben O'Connor does the wise thing, cross it, and bang, across comes Brown into the net. How many times have you seen Cork forwards doing that kind of stuff? You know, somebody, a forward, corner forward comes out of nowhere, one touch, ball in the back of the net. Ben O'Connor really well here.
Four red shorts.
Four red shorts inside waiting for it, and the ball is just buried in the net. Now, this is a great goal from Dino. It's a great goal. Now, you know, a lot of people are saying that Brian Greene was the right man for Dino. I didn't think so. I thought they should have put a stronger man on Joe Dean today. He's caught here in the air because he's not great in the air. Dean catches it. He doesn't draw a haymaker on it in case it hit the goalie. It's enough to get the ball over the line. He got over the line into the net. And every time Waterford came back with a goal, Cork were able to come back down the field and score again. Now that's a killer.
And Dean's vision as well, I mean, and anticipation. He knew exactly where the ball was coming to. I mean, he stepped in there and he's put his hand up like behind the
It just goes to show like that you don't have to be 6'4" and 15 stone to score goals in front of goal. Like it was all one flowing movement. Sure. He caught it, he ran. As Gerard said, he didn't want to burst the back of the net. All he wanted to do was get over that white line and it's recorded. And that's why Dean is so dangerous. And probably going back to their full backline problem, if there's anything that Cork have, they have forwards like Kilkenny and Tipperary that will skin you, and they should be able to solve their problem playing in training against players like that. Just Setanta and players like that should be able to identify their weaknesses. If Cork do what Ger was saying, if they look at midfield and look at the few problem areas that they have, and if they can strengthen on those, they will be even a more serious force in a few weeks' time. They have a nice break now, about 5 weeks of a break. Sure. They'll be able to build upon that, and they have a panel. All of those guys there have either All-Ireland under 21s or some of them have senior middles and are minor middles, so they have quality there. It's a matter of having the confidence to introduce it, and I think that Donald O'Grady will, because he didn't stay too long looking at Diarmuid O'Sullivan getting roasted. He called him to shore fairly quickly, and once he did, Waterford's scoreline started drying up. I think Jersey only scored 1 point after that in the first half, and that they waited 30 minutes again to score another point. I know, in fairness, they scored 2 goals, which kept them in the game, but all credit to Cork, like they're back.
There's no doubt they're back. I mean, we were mentioning St. had been at a quiet day today compared, I suppose, to the last day. He was hardly ever going to repeat that kind of performance, maybe again. But in the first couple of minutes, he scored one cracker of a goal.
He scored a cracker of a goal, and he hit the crossbar just after half-time. He laid on that ball for Ben O'Connor. And I suppose it's like the Cork forwards, you know. We'll take this on first. He leaves the ball in for Niall McCarthy. Now, Niall McCarthy had a good game for Cork today at centre-forward. A really strong ball across here. Here's the Tanta, catches it, buries it in the net. But, as we said earlier on, what the hell was the goalie doing out there? It was none of his business at all. It's the cornerback's job to cover him. The goalie stay on the line. If the goalie was on that line, he'd still find it very hard to score the goal. But at the same time, it's typical Cork.
Right, there was no sign of any of the full back line there. The wing back was trying to cover.
The wing back was actually back on Satanta. He was his cornerback. But the Cork inside forward line, they can let their men get 4 balls out of 5, but when they get that one, they punish you. Alan Brown a goal today. Joe Dean, maybe his man beat him 3 out of 4. But Joe Dean still scored a goal and a few points. Satanta scored a goal. Laid on others. Yeah. I think that's the greatness of that forward line. And if they can get one other maybe wing forward, Tim McCarthy now is kind of in and out of the game. But Ben O'Connor's, he loves that far wing. Like he skinned Clare in '99 down that right wing, the last 10 minutes the same way, down along that sideline. And he can almost stand on the sideline and put the ball over the bar.
Yeah, and does.
And does. He scored inspirational points, and it was fitting that as he finished off the game, there was 3 points in it, got a line ball, and over the bar. He was absolutely terrific. And he's a lovely player to watch. His speed, his control, his skill, and he has that bit of boldness, that bit of cockiness that you always associate with a Cork forward as well. But all over the field today, Cork had numerous displays, but I'd still say that half-back line was the line that won the game for them today.
Oh, sure. We've looked at the goals in the second half. We've looked at Halpin's goal. We might as well wrap up, I suppose, and have a look at John Milan's goal for anybody who might have missed the first half of this match, and this particular one as well. I mean, here's a player who's been on a losing side of a Munster final. He scored 3 goals and a point.
Yeah, it's tough. John really came back to himself. He had his troubles earlier on in the year with suspension and things like that, but he really proved what kind of a good hurler he is. But there we are talking again about the full back line. We're not trying to crucify Pat Mulcahy here, but again, he played that like a centre back. He went up in the air with one hand, ball broke, and there you are. Milan finishes at the back of the net. It was a super performance by Milan. He, like Ger said about, he has that cockiness and boldness and arrogance to take you on in situations where other guys will put it over the bar, and that's what differentiates between the good forwards and the bad forwards. And today Milan, you feel sorry for him, ended up on with a score line of 3-1 or 3-2 and not winning. But that's Munster hurling, that's championship. It has happened to Paul Flynn down through the years. Waterford will regroup. They will come back. They did it when you beat them during the Munster final, and it was after a replay, and it was crushing. They came back and destroyed Galway, I think. And
the best thing about it is they have 2 weeks. They're not stuck with the 6-day thing. They have 2 weeks to go, so they have plenty of time
to lick their wounds,
reorganise again, and they won't meet a better team than they met today.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for the moment. Now, at this point in the programme, we're going to take a check on some of the other Gaelic Games action, the action that's been happening around the country today.
Fermanagh deserved their victory over a dogged Cavan side to claim their place in tonight's draw. Over the course of the game, they always seemed to have too much for Cavan, who were kept in the match in the second half by Dermot McCabe's frees. He kicked 6 in all. Cavan started the match brightly, but Fermanagh were able to go on these scoring spurts, but they couldn't get clear of their opponents. Jason O'Reilly's goal brought Cavan to within a point at half-time. Despite that McCabe resistance, Fermanagh just seemed to have too much for Cavan. They won out in the end by 3 points, and they did that while kicking 13 wides. You can see highlights of this match tonight on the Sunday Game.
There's always something special about a Cork-Tipperary Munster hurling final, even if it's at minor level. Within 6 minutes of the start, Tipperary goalkeeper Darragh Ryan produced a brilliant save to deny Cork's Michael Allen a certain goal. Despite losing their fullback, Sean Ryan, 3 minutes later, it was the Tipperary team that scored the first goal of the day. The hard work was done by Thurles teenager Richie Ruth, who combined in a nice 1-2 with Shane Long, who finished neatly past Cork keeper Cian De Barra. There was plenty of skill on view. Watch Cork goalkeeper Cian De Barra's free, neatly touched on by Brendan Barry. If you missed it the first time, here's a better angle. At half-time, Cork led by 2 points, which was stretched to 4 points after 7 minutes by Killa's Brendan Barry. 16 minutes into the second half, Tipperary, now with wind advantage, scored their second goal. Tumi Vara's David Young setting up Shane Long for his second of the day. Tipperary's depth of talent in the panel was a vital factor in their victory. Players like substitute Shane O'Brien, who scored 2 fine points in his introduction, was an indication of that talent. At the final whistle, Tipperary had just those 2 points to spare, as Tipperary captain David Morrissey received the Munster Minor Championship trophy for the 3rd year in a row. Full-time score, Tipperary 2-12, Cork 16 points.
Not sure if he's a Morrissey, he must be a good lad. OK, let's take a check then on the results of the day in Gaelic games. Starting with the Guinness Munster Senior Hurling Championship final. The final score in the senior match was Cork 3-16, Waterford 3-12. And now in that All-Ireland Senior Football Championship qualifier that we saw the report on there a moment ago between Fermanagh and Cavan, and the result working out in Fermanagh's way, as you saw. And that was the final score then in the minor match that you just saw. The win for Tipperary saw no 3 Munster medals for the O'Halpine family today, only 2 at the end. OK, now just a mention about our nighttime programme tonight, the Sunday game evening transmission, which you can see, of course, later on at 9:30. It will feature today's Munster final for those of you who want to see it all again or who maybe missed it the first time. Fermanagh and Cavan also feature in the programme. And we have the draw for the next round of the qualifiers. Round 3 of the football qualifiers will also be on the programme tonight. That's all here on Network 2, and it's at 9:30. Finally, my thanks here in studio to Ger Loughnane and to Pete Finnerty, who have joined me for the afternoon. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your thoughts. We'll see you again the next time. Well, this afternoon's Munster final was everything that you'd expect from this great sporting occasion. It was fast, it was furious and skillful, with no quarter, of course, asked or given. Consolation for the losers is a place in the quarter-final draw. But I suppose that is scant consolation this evening, because they've just seen Cork walk off with the Munster Hurling Cup. Until the next time, bye-bye.
Yes, 20 years after meeting in the Munster final, Cork and Waterford battled it out again this afternoon for one of hurling's most precious prizes. Coming up, we'll have action and reaction from today's thrilling final in Thurles as defending champions Waterford put their title on the line. Another busy week in the football qualifiers with highlights later of Cavan against Fermanagh and Dublin versus Derry. We've the draw for round 3 of the All-Ireland football qualifying campaign. And we look ahead to next week's 2 provincial finals, both in Connacht and Leinster. Yes, indeed, a very busy programme in store for you tonight. Michael Dignan joins us in studio this evening. His views later in the programme. And Bernard Flynn will be along as well, maybe, just maybe, to eat a little humble pie about Dublin. We'll also be naming our Galway Crystal Sunday game man of the match from today's Munster hurling final. But it's to the action first tonight and to this afternoon's provincial decider at Semple Stadium. A massive occasion for both the players and their supporters alike as Thurles played host to today's final.
Stephen Frampton, batted away by Ronan Curran. Back in again it comes from Owen Kelly, and he sweeps it over the bar. So Owen Kelly gives Waterford the lead, playing in what is his 7th championship match. Lovely strike towards McCarthy. Niall McCarthy gathering in well on the left hand, taking on his man, Fergal Hartley. Dropping it inside. Difficult one, Satanto O'Halpine has it, awkward angle, it's a goal!
Santos, he has structure, Sandy Gaza struck a fantastic goal, it came in short, he made it across, goalie out position, left-handed struck him in the back of the net.
Not even 6 minutes are gone, and the big man from the Pearshake scores his first goal in championship hurling at senior level. McCarthy fed it in, he won his battle against the goalkeeper and against Declan Prendergast and knocked it into the back of the net. Murphy hitting it in towards Milan. Nice balance and control, getting it away from O'Sullivan. He's causing problems for Dermot O'Sullivan. And this is in the early stages, getting it on his left-hand side. He strikes well, and he's put it over. John Milan from the De La Salle club. Well, he's won a free, now he's won a point off Dermot O'Sullivan. Alan Brown was trying to dig it out, but it's Andy Maloney. Forward here towards Ken McGrath, high up into the air, hoping the wind will carry it on for him. That was Mulcahy touching it down, coming in here and striking it brilliantly into the back of the net.
It's John Milan again.
Once again, he's done it.
Long high ball coming in, Cork defence with coverage underneath it. Mulcahy couldn't get to it, brought back to Milan, and a fantastic score. He's on fire at the moment.
Well gathered in by Owen Murphy, setting it away here towards Dave Bennett from the middle of the field. Bennett with accuracy, puts it over the bar. He's now got two. One from play, one from a free, and it's going nicely for Justin McCarthy's team. Ronan Kernel on the ball, coming straight back into the faces of the Cork backs. Satanto Halpine beaten. This time it comes back to Owen Murphy. A very determined looking Waterford side. Great catch by Tony Brown. He's been having physio for the past 3 weeks. Dave Bennett, his midfield ally. Inside towards Paul Flynn, bounces around in there. Flynn picks it up neatly, nice turn. And a great score by Paul Flynn. The best hurling is being played by Waterford. Right now they're giving Cork a lesson.
That's right, Gerard. The only hurling has been played by Waterford. Every ball is breaking around it, and Flynn is on fire as well. But their half back line and centre field at the moment are completely on top.
Shologo Halpine sending it down towards his brother Satanton, catches it well, taking on his man, released inside to Niall McCarthy. Cork looking for scores, and McCarthy might provide one, and he does. Niall McCarthy belting it over, and the huge throng of Cork supporters down at the town end having something to celebrate. 1-8 to 1-2. A solid Waterford performance in the first half, doing as much as they would have hoped to do, having a 6-point lead. And once again, Fergal Hartley could be in trouble here against Niall McCarthy, being called across by the referee. And this is the height of folly now. If they start to get themselves into stupid situations like this, and it's going to be another yellow. 3 yellows now for Waterford. Away from Gardner, Ben O'Connor, one of those not to score so far, didn't really get much of a chance. Here he is again, going by Owen Murphy, still running into a couple of Waterford players, looking for reinforcements. Alan Brown has it, they've got support inside, but Satanto Halpine, nobody was on him, but the ball never reached him. It's a free in instead. They're fortunate to be just 5 points down. Dean has got 3 points, 1 from play, the last 2 coming from frees. So 35 minutes to resolve this Guinness Munster hurling final as Fergal Hartley breaks through from centre half back. Still Hartley trying to set up a chance beyond Maloney. A rare foray into the opposing half by the centre half for Waterford. Hartley. Now maybe there's gaps at the other end. Here's his man, Niall McCarthy, going through, going by the shoulder. Satanto Halpine. Oh, Halpine! It's stayed out somehow. And Joe Dean follows up and puts it over the bar, his 4th.
Off the crossbar, Gerald, let off for Waterford there. Could have been in the net.
Real let off. The goal was there, waiting. But Satanto Halpine opened up the broad shoulders. This is where he struck it off the crossbar. Wow. Tremendous force. But it's 1 point rather than 3 for Cork. And the referee is calling across a couple of players. It appears to be Pat Mulcahy and Paul Flynn. The referee once again laying down the law between the full forward and the full back. 2 yellows. Batted down by Tom Kenny. Kenny approaching the Waterford goal with style. Good poise. Can he finish? The answer is yes.
He's getting on top of that far wing. He's being pushed down into midfield and past it at times, Joe.
This is a bit more like the performance that Cork rather served up against Clare, and Waterford now at the receiving end as Clare were that day, and there are two between them, 1-9 to 1-7. Tony Brown coming back towards it, picks it up here in midfield, former hurler of the year, that was back in 1998. Declan Prendergast attempted clearance, blocked down. Kenny, or Feeney rather, coming to Waterford's rescue. Towards McGrath, taken by John Gardner, looking for another. Gardner has put the sides level.
Some game now, Jared. These guys are on fire. Unless Waterford change that half forward and midfield, they're going to be in trouble because there's no ball passing it.
Cork 1-9, Waterford 1-9. John Gardner with 2 points now, one from a free, now one from play. And Cork are right back in it. That's 5 points by Cork in 8 minutes of the second half. Ken McGrath, low ball inside towards Prendergast. Might work, doesn't quite come off initially, but Milan has it. Against 3 or 4 red shirts from Cork. Jersey was being pulled, he's fired up, but it gives Waterford a chance to settle down and draw level. This should go over.
He has pace, Gerald, like the right to bring him out. He has to use that pace to take him on because he is causing trouble when he gets on the ball.
It's Paul Flynn who's going to take it. He goes short to Milan! Goal! What a great piece of individualism from Waterford's Paul Flynn, who stepped up to take it rather than Bennett, and Milan fired it in for his second goal of the day. Tom Kenny, what a match he's playing. Everybody's after him, nobody able to get close enough to him. Towards the Tanto Halpine, got that Cork goal in the first half. Turns well, gets well away from Seamus Prendergast. Oh, Halpine again, laid outside towards Ben O'Connor, awkward, right on the end line. Brown!
It's a thriller, it's a fantastic score.
Alan Brown!
Ben O'Connor squared the ball back, and Alan Brown, who hasn't been having a break, whipped it into the back of the net. Great run by the Santi himself, down along the middle. Maybe the pass wasn't perfect, but Ben O'Connor got on the end of it, whipped it back. Here's the pass, not a great one. Ben O'Connor just flicks it back out, and here is Alan Brown, bang! Gives it no chance to Stephen Brenner.
This is Owen McGrath from the centre of the field, down towards Prendergast. This is the substitute coming forward here, Seamus Prendergast, and Milan. Oh, no, the one!
This guy has gone wild today.
The hat-trick man has done it! 20 minutes into the second half. Goals after 8 minutes. 13 minutes of the second half. And now 7 minutes later, here he comes again. The man from De La Salle fires it past Donald Cusack. He hit it venomously. It was a beauty. This is a better puck out by Donald Cusack, right down the centre. Taken well by James Murray. Trying to keep it in play here, but having a little bit of difficulty. Waterford's substitute, Paul O'Brien. Green is under pressure from Dean! A goal! From Joe Dean!
This game has everything, Jared. The Dino has got it. Grabs the ball, round the corner back, and sticks it in the back of the net.
Cork are in front again in a thrilling Munster hurling final. No wonder nearly 55,000 people wanted the precious tickets. Brian Green couldn't cut it out. Dean was in. Thanks a lot. And this is how it started. Fired in there by McCarthy in towards Joe Dean, and he finished clinically. It's a great final. Mulcahy coming out positively. Dave Bennett scooping it forward towards Owen McGrath, running into a phalanx of Cork defenders. Back towards Bennett once again. Slightly off balance, and it's over the bar. They're still in it, and he's firing them up.
At this stage, Tom Feeney's gone out centre back for Waterford, and Tim McCarthy's gone midfield for Cork. This game can still swing anyway. Cork are just not putting Waterford away.
The referee is calling across Paul Flynn. And Paul Flynn has already had a yellow card in this match, 2 yellow cards. It's a horrible afternoon for Paul Flynn and for Waterford. It's turned really, really sour for them. They're down to 14. They're losing the match. Time is almost up, and John Gardner fires it confidently over. And Cork are going to win back the Munster Cup. Gardner scored 4. Cork have scored a victory. And Cork are champions of Munster for the 49th time. It's Cork 316, Waterford 312. It's the Munster Cup, doesn't have a name. It's Cork's for the 49th time. Cork champions in Munster once again.
Well, I tell you what it means to me, Jim. I mean, the backroom team that I have, the medical team, the fellow selectors, right, and the trainers, they've done excellent work, right, and I think for them, I think there's great satisfaction, and it was a great occasion. Both Cork and Waterford fans, obviously some fans have to be disappointed. I'm delighted that the Waterford fans are disappointed and not our fans, because they're the best in the world.
The mood in the camp at the half-time was a little bit subdued. I think fellas were disappointed in their own performance, but we knew that if we could up it, I think we did that for the first 10 minutes of the second half. I think we totally dominated the game and got back level very quickly, you know, so it was going to be a 50-50 game after that.
We gathered our thoughts at half-time and kind of nobody ever panicked. And, you know, fellas asked questions of themselves, and I mean, you could see the response in the second half. Once we got the first score, I think the crowd got behind us, and from there on, like, I mean, I think probably we could have probably stayed a bit more ahead, but I think there was probably maybe just lost concentration a couple of times, and you know, they got vital goals, but you know, thanks to God we came out in the end.
We kind of seriously sat down at half time and words were dished out, but the main thing, we didn't panic, because if we had panicked, Waterford would have won the game. But we kind of knew with the wind behind us in the second half, we knew that the wind wasn't going to win anything, but we knew it would be benefit. And 5 points in the game of hurling compared to Gaelic is nothing. 2 pucks of the ball, and it was vital from the throwing in the second half that we got to start, and I think we got about 4 or 5 points unanswered, and I think that was the key to our success today, Joe.
Well, I thought it was a great win, brilliant performance by Cork, obviously. Great to get the Munster crown back. Joe Dean, excellent as ever. Sitant, Sean Og, the whole lot of them, really.
We might get tip early, we teach them a lesson, but who knows? We're still going to Cork Park at the end of the day.
They scored 2-12 in the second half with some going. Come on, Cork! Come on, Ireland! Come on, Cork Park! Up the levels!
Very disappointing. They'll be back then, they'll do it the next time, we might meet Cork again in the final.
I think it was a great game, and Cork should have won it in the first half, but they did it in the second half.
We lost the Munster final today, but we're still not after losing the All-Ireland. Who's going to win the All-Ireland?
Well, Michael, this has to be a first, a Kerry man and an Offaly man analysing a Munster hurling final. Tell us this, I'm a bit confused. 10 horses raced around the Cork today and they shared €750,000 between them. 60 miles down the road, 30 hurlers drew a far bigger crowd and, in my opinion, gave us far better entertainment. Would I be correct in stating that?
Yeah, it was an outstanding game of hurling. I think you're right. Like anyone that plays hurling or Gaelic football in this country, they put in a huge amount of effort, and they don't get a lot out of it financially at the end of the day. But I think to win a Munster medal, you saw what it meant to the crowd there today, and what it means to the people and what it means to the players is huge. And I think the Munster final, I suppose, I was a bit young to remember Ring and Mackey, but the Munster final built up a tradition over the years that I don't think any other final has. And you know, Thurles is a special place with the crowd, the way they're all mingled before the match and have a few jars, and then the match itself, like, you know, they played in front of a capacity crowd, and the crowd are in around the pitch in Thurles, and the atmosphere is unbelievable, and you know, the players gave it everything today.
Michael, Waterford came out of the traps like greyhounds, and they looked like a team that were out to confound the pundits and show that they shouldn't have never been written off. They were brilliant at the start.
Yeah, they were brilliant in the first half. Their hunger was unbelievable. They were the Munster champions last year. I think one player, especially John Milan, right throughout the game, but particularly in the first half, he gave Dermot O'Sullivan a fierce roasting early on, and this is a great score by any standards. But they were hurling well. Owen Murphy, it was their lesser lights. Owen Murphy at the back, John Milan, who wouldn't be the household names. They're all stars from last year. You know, Owen Kelly, Ken McGrath, Fergal Hartley didn't have good days today. There's Milan in for a brilliant goal, and that's a great example for any young hurler. He followed up from out the field, 2 hands in the hurl down, picked the ball and crashed it to the net. There was no tipping or tapping, and a brilliant goal. And you know, he showed great heart throughout, but some of the other players didn't. But Cork, you know, Cork weren't good in the first half. Some of the players didn't look interested. There was a win there, all right, and it was really Waterford's indiscipline before half time. The last 5 minutes, they gave away 3 or 4 stupid frees, got 3 players booked, and let Cork back into the game.
Michael, I read during the week that Donal O'Grady has a new approach to training this year. It's called the KISS philosophy to training. Do you know what the KISS philosophy means?
I didn't hear anything about that.
It's keep it simple, stupid. And it meant that Cork were concentrating on blocking, hooking, flicking. Was it the simple approach that worked, or what for Cork?
Well, Cork have fierce pace, and it's very, very difficult to play against this Cork team because you have no room to strike the ball. The Waterford players run the back foot. Even when Cork weren't hurling well in the first half, Waterford half-back line were finding it difficult to get in clearances. And, you know, the pace right throughout the Cork team is immense. I think we're going to see some clips here.
We'll have a look at now at some of Cork's better points.
The difference really in the second half with Cork was that their attitude was completely different. This is Ben O'Connor coming onto the ball. John Mullane has just scored a cracking goal for Waterford, straight from the puck out. Ben O'Connor, who went on to have a brilliant game, sticks that over the bar. And Cork had scored 5 points in a row to start the second half to put them a point up, and then Mullane struck for a goal to put them behind, but they didn't panic and got stuck in. And here's their pace again. Here's Satanta Halpine on her run, has the vision to see Ben O'Connor, not the best pass, but Ben O'Connor then quick bit of ground hurling in around the square, and then bang, Alan Brown trademark goal. But now that's use their pace right throughout the game. Their forward line have fantastic pace. I know, quick ball across the square and well finished to the back of the net.
Michael, Cork were 9-2 second favourites for the All-Ireland hurling title this morning. I don't think you'll get those odds tomorrow morning, but are they capable of winning the All-Ireland, this Cork side?
Oh, I'd say they are definitely capable of winning the All-Ireland. Like, you know, the last day against Clare, everything went well for them. Today, a few weaknesses showed up. John Mullane scored 3 goals after full backline, who were peerless against Clare. Their half forward were very slow to get into the game, particularly 2 wing forwards in the first half. Niall McCarthy worked hard throughout, but they'll have to work. You know, Timmy McCarthy was below form, Mickey O'Connell was below form in the middle of the field, and John Gardner maybe only had 20 good minutes there at the end. So they have a lot of work to do, but they certainly come in the All-Ireland.
A lot of improving. So Cork taking their 49th title, but who was the Galway Crystal Sunday game man of the match from that game? Well, there were many fine performances throughout the field, but our experts have gone for Cork's Tom Kinney. Michael?
Yeah, you know, it's very hard. John Mullane scored 3 goals and a point in the Munster final, and really was the one Waterford player who was outstanding throughout. But Tom Kenny, to me, was absolutely peerless. He played an outstanding game. The last day, his clearances up into the forwards, you know, he was always looking to pick out a man, and then he scored an outstanding point as well. But the thing about him is, you know, the last day against Clare, he could have been man of the match, and he was not. He was pipped. And I think today, at that point from out the field, he was absolutely outstanding throughout. And I don't know where this man was hiding up to now, but
he was playing with the footballers.
Well, he was, and he obviously made up his mind, and he obviously showed that he's a smart man as well by making the right decision. And I would just say one thing, Pat, at the end of this. Last year when Waterford won the Munster final, I was delighted for them. They had waited so long to win it, but I'm actually delighted for this group of Cork players. I think they took a stand at the beginning of the year. They stood up to, you know,
officialdom,
and they weren't being treated. I don't think they were being treated. I couldn't believe some of the stories I heard about the way they were being treated. They stood up to them, they put their backs to the wall, and if they didn't win the Munster final this year and come back with the crown, they were going to be slaughtered below in Cork. And they were men enough to win at half-time, not playing well, and come out and do it for themselves and do it for their team management. And I think it's a great sign and a great tribute to the type of calibre that those players have inside them.
Maybe there'll be a lot of counties now thinking this is the way to go for next year if they want success. While we're on the subject of hurling, Leinster final next week, Kilkenny, Wexford. Kilkenny raging hot favourites. Are Wexford, according to everyone, wasting their time to be turning up?
Yeah, a lot of people saying that. I don't agree with it. I think Wexford last year were outstanding against Kilkenny. They ran them to 2 points. They didn't score a goal against them. Now, I know DJ wasn't around at the time, and that sparked Kilkenny into getting DJ back. But this year, Charlie Carter and Brian McAvoy aren't around. And I think, you know, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the background in Kilkenny, and I think they're going to, unless they get it sorted out and get it sorted out quick, they're going to struggle to win All-Ireland. I think you need everybody in it together. It's hard enough winning big matches, but last year when they were in trouble, they could spring Charlie Carter and spring Brian McAvoy, and Charlie Carter is captain of Kilkenny. He'd have a lot of support within the county, and now he's gone off the panel. So, you know, I think their backs are to the wall, and Wexford aren't going to be likely written off. There's some great individual players, and, you know, I'd give them every chance next Sunday.
Well, that's what I like about Offaly people, world champions at fence sitting. Michael, thank you very much for your analysis tonight.
Thank you, Pat.
Well, it was a big day too for the minors of Cork and Tipperary this afternoon as they met in the curtain raiser to today's senior final. Both sides, of course, sharing the last 10 titles, Cork winning 4 and Tipperary winning 6. Watching this one was Marty Morrissey.
There's always something special about a Cork-Tipperary Munster hurling final, even if it's at minor level. Within 6 minutes of the start, Tipperary goalkeeper Dara Ryan produced a brilliant save to deny Cork's Michael Allen a certain goal. Despite losing their fullback, Sean Ryan, 3 minutes later, it was the Tipperary team that scored the first goal of the day. The hard work was done by Thurles teenager Richie Ruth, who combined in a nice 1-2 with Shane Long, who finished neatly past Cork keeper Cian DeBarra. There was plenty of skill on view. Watch Cork goalkeeper Cian DeBarra's free, neatly touched on by Brendan Barry. If you missed it the first time, here's a better angle. At half-time, Cork led by 2 points, which was stretched to 4 points after 7 minutes. by Killa's Brendan Barry. 16 minutes into the second half, Tipperary, now with wind advantage, scored their second goal. Toomey Vara's David Young setting up Shane Long for his second of the day. Tipperary's depth of talent in the panel was a vital factor in their victory. Players like substitute Shane O'Brien, who scored 2 fine points in his introduction, was an indication of that talent. At the final whistle, Tipperary had just those 2 points to spare, as Tipperary captain David Morrissey received the Munster Minor Championship trophy for the 3rd year in a row. Full-time score, Tipperary 2-12, Cork 16 points.
Time for a break now, but plenty to come in part 2 of the programme tonight. We'll see how Fermanagh fared against Cavan and Enniskillen. We look back at yesterday's round 2 match between Dublin and Derry. And we've the draw for round 3 of the qualifiers.
Now showing at a screen near you, M2 Cinepix. You get to choose Network 2's Thursday night movie. This week you can vote for Black Rain or Highlander. Just phone 1550 71 71 51. Calls cost 74 cents per minute. Or from Northern Ireland 0906 614 2037. Calls cost 60 pence per minute. Call the number and you'll also get the chance to win a DVD player. M2 Cinepix featuring Black Rain or Highlander. You decide.
Miele's new honeycomb care washing machines incorporate a revolutionary honeycombed drum with fewer holes and a smoother surface, resulting in a gentler wash for even your most delicate clothes. Miele. Anything less is a compromise.
What are you limbering up for? Oh, we're going to be on the pole tonight.
At Tesco, a bottle of Chilean Isla Negra wine is half the recommended price.
Tesco. Every little helps.
Every year in Sweden, they use more than 3,000 tons of ice to create the world's most original hotel. Last year in Ireland, people used about the same amount to create an original of their own. The original pint bottle from Bulmers. Time dedicated to you.
Why is nobody here?
What day is it?
Tuesday?
I should be at Specsavers.
Over 60s discount day every Tuesday at Specsavers. Burning. Acid heartburn. Gaviscon liquid. Coating. Cooling. Soothing. That's better. Gaviscon, the soothing answer to acid heartburn in liquid or tablet packs.
Why Waterford? Because it's Ireland's oldest maritime city with Ireland's newest city centre. Because it's got breathtaking mountains and 70 miles of fabulous coastline. Because it's got 9 championship golf courses and lots to see and do. Because it's got arts, culture, Ireland's only light opera festival, and Spree, Ireland's best street festival. And because it's at the heart of the sunny southeast, Waterford's got Ireland's best weather too. Waterford.
Need a nutritious meal in minutes? First slice some lamb and marinate in soy sauce. Chop some vegetables. Heat some oil and garlic. Stir fry the lamb. Then add your vegetables. And serve on a bed of noodles. Delicious 10-minute stir-fry lamb.
Morning.
Morning.
Oh, pardon.
Right, girls. Today we're going to deal with something natural and wholesome. Real butter.
Excusez-moi. Lisa, I mean Miss Kennedy. I was wondering if I could have some Kerrygold, please.
Pardon?
Butter is better. Kerrygold is best.
In the world of insulation, there is one company that reigns supreme. From pitched roof and cavity wall to underfloor. Spectacular home insulation. Insulation to the power of Kingspan.
Another huge weekend in Gaelic games coming up, starting with one of the All-Ireland football qualifiers on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's the Connacht football final between Galway and Mayo. And the Leinster hurling final involving Kilkenny and Wexford. See all the action live here on Network 2. Well, it certainly promises to be another cracking weekend in Gaelic games. However, it's the football now, and I'm joined in studio by Bernard Flynn. His thoughts in just a few moments. We start though with this afternoon's All-Ireland football qualifier involving Fermanagh and Cavan in Enniskillen, with both sides knowing that defeat would signal the end of their respective championship campaigns. Commentary now from Darragh Maloney.
Fermanagh have made 3 changes to their 15, all enforced because of injuries. The big news is that their inspirational midfielder Paul Brewster is out. He's replaced by 19-year-old James Sherry. Hugh Brady comes in at cornerback for Michael Lilly, and Ramey Johnston is included at corner forward for Colin Bradley. Cavan were rocked by the news that their captain Peter Riley will be out for the rest of the year with a damaged cruciate ligament. Anthony Ford reverts to centre-back to take his place, while Jason O'Reilly starts, even though there are concerns about his match fitness. Aaron Donohoe replaces James Riley in goal, and Sean Johnston fills the vacancy at left corner forward. This is his championship debut. And the referee for this afternoon, Pat McEnany from County Monaghan. And the 20th meeting of Cavan and Fermanagh is underway, this All-Ireland Championship qualifier. Cavan with the aid of a fairly strong breeze in the first half. And neither side really would have needed much motivation for this today. A local derby. Fermanagh haven't beaten Cavan in the championship since 1914. This is Finbar O'Reilly. Into Sean Johnston, his first championship game for Cavan. Supported by Larry Riley. Riley sends it in. That's not a bad effort, and there was a player inside in the square. It was Jason O'Reilly. Loose ball. Pierce McKenna tries to get there. Sean Brady has it to Finbar O'Reilly. Good ball into Dermot McCabe. He's got away from Owens. Now it's Larry Riley. It's a lovely fluid move from Cavan. It's their first point of the game, and what a way to start. 4.5 minutes played. Best bit of football we've seen in the match so far. It's come from Cavan. Larry Riley applying the finish. Breaking ball, it comes to Mark McKeever. McKeever has support outside. Larry Riley has scored both of Cavan's points, wants another one. That is a fantastic score from Larry Riley. He is on fire, and he's leading the way for Cavan. All 3 points have been scored by the Knockbride man. Clever ball played into space. That space now filled by Stephen Maguire. Again, Cathal Collins just behind him. James Sherry determined to make an impression on this game. The young 19-year-old, and Sherry has put that over the bar. Fantastic point from James Sherry. Skipped through the cover. Stephen Maguire with the initial incision brought Sherry in, and it was a fine finish. Well taken by Marty McGrath. Had his free before he even hit the ground. Tom Brewster. Clever running by Ryan Keenan. That's Paul Brady over with him. They work it into Ronan McCabe. McCabe on the left, very difficult angle, and somehow he managed to put it over. Ronan McCabe with his second point on one of the scores of the game so far. Stephen Maguire dragging Cathal Collins out with him. Raymond Gallagher. Shane McDermott has made a very good run upfield over here, but Raymond Gallagher is going himself again. The angle tricky. but he's got it. And now 5 in a row for Fermanagh without reply. Cavan have had problems around the middle, winning possession in the last 10 minutes or so. Neil Cox, but it's come to Larry Riley, the only Cavan scorer in this game so far. Riley just loses control, then goes to ground. Didn't seem to be much contact there. Hugh Brady has it for Fermanagh. They made a mistake. O'Reilly has goal. He scored on his return to the team. And how important could that goal be for Jason O'Reilly and for Cavan? O'Reilly was hanging around. That was a terrible hand pass across the goal. You should never do that. Now Fermanagh starting to stretch Cavan a little bit. Ryan Keenan from the Tempo club. Colin Bradley. And Bradley has put it over 3 in a row. 3 in the space of 2 minutes. Jason O'Reilly out in front of his man. Has some support up there, and Jason O'Reilly has been fouled. This is such an important kick. 17.5 minutes played in the second half. Cavan are 3 points behind, and that has gone over. That's wonderful kicking from Dermot McCabe. So much pressure. Tom Brewster coming up with the goods around midfield. Played towards Raymond Gallagher. Anthony Ford tried to stop him. This is Marty McGrath. McGrath settles himself. And Fermanagh, when they get in the groove, they're able to go on these scoring spurts. Another point, 2 in a row, and they're pulling away from Cavan once more. And it's going to take a massive effort for Cavan to come back again. Tom Brewster really has worked so hard for Fermanagh, and this could be dangerous. James Sherry is there, has Ryan Keenan outside. Keenan has got the point. 15 points to 1-8. They're 4 clear. There's 6 minutes to go. Cavan are yet to score from play in the second half, which is an amazing statistic. This is Anthony Ford. Here's Pierce McKenna. Has he done enough? Well, yes, it just about crept in. And McKenna gets his first point of the game. Here come Fermanagh. Over 2 minutes of stoppage time played. Ryan Keenan, Raymond Gallagher played his part with 6 points. The captain launches it forward towards Stephen Maguire. Cathal Collins coming back strongly at him. Maguire has kicked 1 free. Now Colin Bradley has got 1 from play. Fancy footwork from Bradley, and that surely is the insurance for Fermanagh. They move 3 clear, and we're deep in the 3rd minute of added time. Stephen Maguire again did all the hard work, so good at doing that, and that's a great finish under so much pressure for Colin Bradley. But Fermanagh, over the course of the 70-odd minutes, have been the better team. There's the full-time whistle. A famous win for Fermanagh. Only their 2nd ever victory over Cavan in the championship. Their first since 1914. And over the course of this game, Dom Corrigan's team certainly deserved it. Dermot McCabe kept Cavan in it in the second half, but Fermanagh always seem to have too much. They've beaten Cavan by 16 points to 110. They are in the 3rd round draw.
You know, this is a very strong Fermanagh side. Great defence, and I thought our defence did superbly well there today, and the fact that we clocked up, I think it was 15 points, shows that we have tremendous quality in our forward line as well. So if we keep improving and keep working hard, then we're in with a with a fairly good chance of advancing even further in this competition.
Bernard, I'm a bit confused. Is this a change before death, or am I getting soft in my old age? But for the 2nd week in a row, I can't report anything negative about Ulster football. This was an entertaining game, and I was particularly taken by Fermanagh's performance. It was a nice game.
Yeah, all the limelight was on the Munster hurling final, as you know, but first time in 89 years Fermanagh beat Cavan, so that's a great victory in a local derby in itself. But Dermot Corrigan must take great, definitely take great plaudits for his players, they actually showed fantastic courage and concentration. You know, after last week's huge defeat against Down, I mean, it was a big disappointment. And to see, did they have the mental strength to go forward, and they were absolutely brilliant today.
Yeah, last Sunday we saw them blow it, and we thought, in particular, like you said, mentally they wouldn't have recovered in a week. They did.
It was the biggest difference today in Fermanagh. Each time Cavan came back at them, they gave the soft goal away, but they kept working hard. From the full back line up, they worked very, very hard. Their back line, Barry Owens was magnificent today. He led from the back, outstanding in everything he did. If you look at it there, Hugh Brady, who gave the goal away, performs a heroic block here. So the defence throughout, with Shane McDermott in particular, were absolutely brilliant. And apart from Larry Riley, they snuffed out the Cavan attack. But their forwards have scored 10 points from play today, and some of their scores, particularly James Sherry, who had a wonderful game, were absolutely outstanding. We had Rémi Gallagher, different fellas, curling the ball over beautifully, not rushing their kicks, and you know, good forwards will take time to look up, and today the forwards for Fermanagh really won the day, and I thought they were superb.
Bernard, do you know, we saw Cavan didn't manage to score from play in the entire second half, and I've seen particularly one of the things out of this year's championship, the kicking. We've seen a lot of wides being kicked, yet at the same time I see an awful lot of money being spent by counties going on foreign holidays, and they tell me it's essential because it's for bonding. Now, bonding never taught a fella, I don't think, how to find the post. What are inter-county teams doing in training, or are they doing something wrong?
Well, look, the one thing with Fermanagh today was the kicks 13 wides and put themselves under a lot of pressure again. But we've seen it there, like, let's say we've seen 13 wides from Dublin, 13 from Derry yesterday evening, 19 from Tyrone 2 weeks ago, Fermanagh last week as well. There's an awful lot of wides. It's one thing I cannot understand. The amount of time fellas being ran up and down fields, the training, we hear all about the scientific training, etc. But the wides factor in Gaelic football is increasing at an alarming rate. I do wonder. Well, the recipe is, I do wonder what some of the managers are actually doing with the players, and when you analyse it, how often are they spending with the ball in their hand, practising what's most important for forwards, kicking the ball over the bar. Too many wides.
Fair point. So that's the lesson from tonight's programme. It's practice, 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 practice kicking. OK, time now for another break, but plenty in part 3 to look forward to. We look back at Dublin's victory over Derry in Clonus yesterday. The Football Championship 2003, we reviewed the season so far. And we've the draw for round 3 of the qualifiers, so don't go away.
How you doing? What can I get you?
Well, just for a change, I think I'll have a beer.
That's your man, isn't it? Nah, that's the other guy.
Yeah. You're right.
And I'd like to buy one for everyone in the house. And I mean one they can share. A nice bar, good company, cool beer. What more could you ask for?
Pint, actually.
Smithix, are you going for a pint?
Jacobs have changed the rules for eating with friends. With new herb and spice selection. Olive oil and oregano Italian crackers. And the cracker selection. Look out for new herb and spice and Mediterranean selections in store.
Some people love Santa Maria Tex-Mex because it's so easy to prepare. Some love it because it's got that real Mexican flavor. But most people love it because it's a party. Santa Maria Tex-Mex.
A love story.
Introducing Adidas Antiperspirant. No matter how active you get, its unique cooling formula constantly adapts to your body. So you stay dry and totally cool longer. Adidas Antiperspirant. Active sweat control.
Get ready for a whole new shaving experience.
Sprite gives you a shave like this, with all the flavor of lemon and lime. So don't use Sprite as a shaving lotion, because all Sprite does is quench your thirst.
Well, it's time now to look back at yesterday's action in Clonus. A make-or-break tie for both sides as Derry faced Dublin in the Championship for the first time in 10 years. Your match commentator for this one is Marty Morrissey.
Breaking ball, there's only one Derry defender there. Somehow he got a hand to it, but it's Dessie Farrell, chance of a goal! Tucked away brilliantly. The goal chance came, but Derry will be critical here of the possession that they had. They gave it away, and Farrell finished absolutely superbly. Sean Marty Lockhart. Jeffrey McGonigal has gone inside. If Paddy Bradley can get inside, Paul Griffin, he can. Good block down by Griffin. Tenacious defending by the number 4. And Shane Ryan is there to gather and go forward. Gives it long. Good ball to Alan Brogan. And running off the ball provided by Senan Connell. Chance of another goal. What a finish by Connell.
What a team goal, right from the cornerback all the way out, and a wonderful finish by Senan Connell.
Coleman Goggins gone into a left half forward position. Gives it back to Connell. Jason Sherlock, nice turn to Dessie Farrell. Game, set and match on its way. Joe. Very generous play as well by Dessie Farrell, because Farrell could have taken it here, opted to give it to Sherlock, and Sherlock just rocketed it into the net. Comes down the middle, picked up by Paul McFlynn. In towards Anthony Tuchel. Paddy Bradley, chance of a goal here, and he tucks it away. Dublin concede their first goal in the championship, thanks to the accuracy of one Patrick Bradley.
Yeah, again, that time a great pass from Tuchel, but the actual finish was precision right into the bottom corner. Very difficult for the goalkeeper to get. Great goal.
Darren Homan. Wonderfully gathered by Dessie Farrell. Gives it back to Jason Sherlock, onto the left boot this time, and it's over the bar.
We came down here, I suppose, you know, in the end of the day, this is about 30 players and a management team who are very committed to what we're doing for Dublin, and yeah, it was a big win. We needed to win it, there's no doubt about that, but I'm very proud of every one of those lads. You know, they worked and worked and worked and worked, and maybe we got a few breaks today. We didn't get in Grove Park, and sure, that's the way football is, the way sport is, and we're happy we have a win. We're out again now next Saturday. We're in the hat tomorrow night, and really we don't care who we get.
There was pressure on the team to perform, and the management team to come up with the goods today. Have you known pressure like that before in your career?
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's an amazing thing. Like, there's pressure every day you go out in the championship. You know what I mean? Every championship match is a blank sheet of paper, and you know, of course, there's more pressure when you're involved in managing Dublin. But like, all we can do is do the best we can and put the players out the best we can. And, you know, you're in the lap of the gods after that.
Bernard, Dublin's title ambitions back on track. Potential All-Ireland winners?
Yeah, well, any day you go to Clonus and have a victory like they had against a Northern team is a good day, satisfactory day's work. You know, they added a bit of steel to midfield with Darren Homan. You know, Shane Ryan definitely helped sort of a weak half back line. But the only thing I would say is, you know, they kicked 13 wides, 46 wides in the championship to date. You know, they still haven't got a settled forward line. 4 forwards taken off yesterday, the same as against Laois. That doesn't bring continuity, but it's a bit of progress, a lot of work to be done yet, but I still think they have got to get a settled team if they're going to be a winning team.
Tommy Lyons came in for an awful lot of over-the-top personal criticism after the Laois game, and not from the Sunday game this time. The vultures were gathering yesterday in Clonus. They've had to back off.
No, I would think most of the criticism I seen, I thought was constructive, most of it, and I think that's the way it should be. The only thing I would say about that is that it would galvanise a team. If Dublin are worth their salt at all, that would bring them closer, and particularly Tommy and the players not there. I was delighted to see them winning yesterday. I still think they have a lot of work to do, but the only thing is that they seem to be sort of making a bit more progress. J.O., as I say, and Desi getting a run, which is, I think, a big plus, and him sort of turning his back on the older players, let's say, if you like, and seeing reality has helped the Dublin squad.
Well, obviously, Bernard, you're on a diet. It was a small piece of humble pie. Quickly on to next Sunday's Connacht football title. Galway, without playing well, into the Connacht final, and they're hot favourites. Will they win it?
I think they'll win it, yeah. I think up front they'll have too much of the Meehan, Savage, Joyce, Fallon. I think they'll be a lot fitter of the last 3-4 weeks. Mayo will probably need 60% possession to win, which they always do. How they use possession in Mayo is the problem. Galway have too much firepower up front.
Well, thank you, Bernard, for being so decisive on that one. So it's Galway in Connacht. So Dublin through to the next round of the qualifiers, and it was Desi Farrell who picked up the Galway Crystal man of the match from that game. Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks in the Football Championship with no shortage of drama and excitement to keep us on the edge of our seats. From Armagh's exit in the preliminary round of the Ulster Football Championship to Dublin's dramatic fall against Laois and Leinster. Darren Maloney now looks back at 7 weeks of enthralling action.
Only 7 weeks ago, Monaghan put heads spinning with their surprise win over Armagh, and in an instant had everyone talking championship again.
It's a famous victory for Monaghan. They deserve it. They march on, and Armagh are out of the Ulster race.
Fermanagh's win over Donegal added to the many musings over potential Ulster champions. But despite both upsets, Ulster football soon resumed a more expected appearance when Down emerged victorious from their encounters with both Monaghan and Fermanagh. Down will meet Tyrone, who despite a shaky start against Derry have made no mistakes since. The shockwaves continued from north to south with Limerick's comprehensive win over a dishevelled Cork side.
Limerick celebrated as if they had just won the Munster Championship.
And to prove it was no fluke, they continued in the same vein with an easy win over Clare. But the true test awaits. Kerry, with only one competitive game behind them, have kept out of the spotlight in the championship so far. But who will suffer the consequences? An interesting Munster final awaits. In the West, things have been a little more run-of-the-mill. As expected, Galway easily swept past Roscommon en route to the provincial final. However, Roscommon did cause a stir when they knocked Larry Tompkins' Cork out of this year's championship. John Maughan returned to his native Mayo again this year, and in a fantastic second-half display, they sent Sligo on their usual backdoor route to All-Ireland glory. Unfortunately for them, Donegal had other ideas. And finally to Leinster, this year's home of hope, despair, and absolute upset. After getting the Westmeath monkey off their backs, Meath might have had thoughts of Dublin and a Leinster final. But Kildare had other plans. The Lily Whites didn't waver under attack, and they chipped away at the Royal Veneer to achieve a fantastic victory. And while many in Kildare were still nursing their hangovers, their old master was once again causing headaches for Dublin, this time with Laois. Talk of a Leinster final rematch was soon cut short when Laois burst onto Croke Park and knocked the Leinster champions out of the provincial title race. And after last night's win for Dublin and this afternoon's victory for Fermanagh, here are the teams left in this year's championship.
So the Football Championship still wide open as we head into July. Time now to concentrate on the draw for round 3 of the Championship qualifiers, with All-Ireland champions Armagh, one of the teams eagerly waiting to find out who they'll meet in round 3. Let's join Marty Morrissey now to find out.
Thanks very much, Pat.
Well, on tonight's draw, we'll be seeing what matches are thrown up for decision in next weekend's third round of the All-Ireland qualifiers. So let's get down to business. Here to help us with our draw tonight is Des Crowley from the Bank of Ireland and Sean Kelly, President of the GA. You're both very welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
We have one bowl in front of us tonight which contains these 8 teams. They are the winners from round 2 of the football qualifiers. And what a prestigious list it includes. Roscommon, Offaly, Armagh, All-Ireland champions, Dublin, Leinster champions, and of course Fermanagh as well. Now I should point out as normal that teams who have already played each other can't be drawn against one another here tonight. This pairing will not be allowed because, as I said, they've already met in this year's Ulster Football Championship. If this pairing does come out, both teams will be moved to different positions and Sean will handle that situation should it arise. I'd also like to point out that all the venues for these games will be decided tomorrow. Okay, let's get started.
Draw, Meath against Fermanagh, Donegal versus Tipperary, the big one, Dublin against Armagh, and Roscommon against Offaly. Well, Bernard, we wanted 2 of the big 3 to clash. We've got it, a repeat of last year's semi-final, Dublin, Armagh.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to one big game, between 2 out of those 3, as you said. This will be a big one. I think the first round league match that Armagh and Dublin played this year, I think that'll stand to Dublin. They got a drubbing that day. Yes. I think it was about 14, 15 points. Armagh were fit. I don't think Armagh as good as they were. Their defence is weaker. I think they haven't been tested against Antrim or Waterford respectively. This Dublin team are coming into this game nicely. I think it'll be a huge occasion, a packed house.
I suppose there's hardly a chance it will be a neutral venue, will it?
I don't think so. It'll have to be Croke Park, I think, Pat, definitely, with that sort of crowd. But looking at the game itself, I think Dublin have a great chance. I really do. My only couple of worries would be lack of free taker. At this stage, a reliable one is still absent. What their best midfield is still not known. And their backline, without Barry Cahill, will have to really tighten up in the half-back line in particular.
On to the top of the draw. Fermanagh, after today's heroics, would not have been fancying probably meeting a Meath team, probably coming into form.
No, but Dominic Corrigan himself has actually expressed that he wanted to meet one of the big guns, particularly to bring his team on a great experience. They will got a great heart from today. They'll have learnt a lot. They'll be a much better team, 20-25% better. They kicked 13 wides again, which is, poor. Some of them very bad. I think they'll show, they'll give a good account of themselves, probably better than Monaghan, but Meath will win.
And they've beaten them in the league, haven't they, Fermanagh, I think?
They did. They beat them by 6 points up there, I think. They beat them quite comprehensively. So they won't fear Meath, but I think Meath at this stage, with older players really coming into it a lot more, Paddy Reynolds, Graham Geraghty, Trevor Giles, fellas like that improving all the time. I think Meath will win by 4 or 5 points.
Now, with all due respect to my fellow Munster county, Tipperary, they would have been the county that the others would have been hoping to draw. They would be considered the weakest. Is that a fair assessment that that Brian McAniff's latter numbers came up with this draw?
Yeah, I think they improved a lot against Sligo. Donegal scored 16 points. Showed a great improvement. Tipperary, or should I say Declan Brown, if you like, who scored, let's say, 70-80% of the scores.
1-9 out of 114 against Carlow.
That's the big problem posing, facing Tipperary. Donegal, I think, will win by 4 or 5 points. Shane Carr or some good man marker like that will be put on Declan Brown, and I think that's really Tipperary's only ply.
And that brings us to the final one. It's not the local derby as such. Roscommon, who escaped out of jail against Leitrim, against an Offaly side who beat Clare with only 14 minutes for the entire second half. How to make of this?
Yeah, Tommy Carr is working very hard and doing great work down there in Roscommon. Offaly look very sluggish against Leith. The one thing I would say is that they are improving all the time. I think Roscommon will be a little bit too strong physically for them. But before all the matches, Pat, the one point I would make is that somebody in Croke Park is going to have to give a directive to the referees. The Munster final today was 20 frees. We had the match in Clonus yesterday, 50 frees. There has to be this averaging 40-50 frees a match. Going to have to do something before next weekend. There's too many frees.
Bernard Flynn, thank you for joining us here tonight. OK, let's check on all the results of the day now. In the Munster Senior Hurling, when the Munster Trophy returned to the rebel county. Well, they may have made a swift exit in the football, but there was no mistake when it came down to the small ball. Good night.